everybody, welcome back to Tales from the Long Box. It's the show where we talk about comic books. It's the big two, talking about the big two. Today we are talking about the big two.
Baby.
We're talking about Daredevil Yellow. It's a pretty good book by Jeph Loeb.
Pretty good.
Tim Sale.
Really stinking good, Marshall.
Hey man, just because I love it doesn't mean that you have to love it too.
Oh, just because Marshall loves it doesn't mean you guys have to love it too.
Yeah, it's okay.
But
Have your
because
own
I
opinion.
love it, you guys do have to love it.
Sorry,
understand?
no.
Get with the program.
No opinions of your own.
Yes, correct.
It was written by Jeph Loeb, penciled and inked by Tim Sale, colored by Matt Hollingsworth, lettered by Richard Starkings and Wes Abbott. This is the first of 4 books in the Marvel Colors series, essentially. That encompassing Daredevil Yellow, Spider-Man Blue, Hulk Gray, and then eventually, after a long wait, Captain America White.
Yes.
They are very good. I enjoy them. We're talking about all of them over the next 4 weeks.
Get stoked.
It's going to be great. And
Christmas will be in there somewhere too.
Yeah, Christmas might happen.
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Unless the world ends.
Now is kind of the beginning of the Christmas season if you're watching this at release.
Yeah.
If you're watching it later on, happy whatever season you're in.
Yeah, Hanukkah.
Other times of the year.
Springtime,
Yep.
Tuesday afternoon,
National Left-Handers Day.
National Left-Handers Day,
August something.
Richard Nixon's birthday.
Oh.
He dead? He's dead.
He's dead, yeah.
He's dead. So we can talk about this book, Michael. I've got a lot of stuff to say about it.
Dude, I'm stoked to talk about this book. You get some of everything from Daredevil with this book.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that I don't always love like a rehashing of an origin story.
Yeah. But you don't really, there's a little bit of that in this.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I mean, there's a helping of it, but man, is it done well. Like I think that you tell me, I guess. Do you think Daredevil's one of those characters that like we're getting into a point in the zeitgeist where like we don't need the Spider-Man origin story. That's why the MCU Spidey doesn't have one on screen yet. Same thing with Superman. Do you think that Daredevil is going to be the newest like in that? Because I feel like a lot of people really understand, like whether it's through the TV show or whatever medium it is. I feel like people just know what happens to Daredevil.
I think generally, maybe. I think that this book in particular could be a little bit confusing for that because it does not necessarily follow the continuity that Frank Miller and John Romita Jr. established.
Not 100%.
Which was a specific choice that they made. They kind of are fast and loose. Loeb and Sale are kind of fast and loose with continuity throughout all of these books to a certain degree. They mess things around in ways that I don't know make that much of a difference ultimately. It feels like it's just Jeph Loeb being like, this is my preference and you have to deal with it, more than it actually makes a difference in the story. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of times if you just jump right in with a character, sometimes it works, but you have to really have written it well and be able to get the implication of a lot of things.
Because of the implication.
It is because of the implication that sometimes these things work.
Yes.
That if you don't have that, it kind of just feels empty, which is why like the MCU Spider-Man feels a little empty sometimes, is that we just kind of skip over Uncle Ben, even to the point of like erasure. Like we're not even mentioning him a lot of the time. We're like vaguely saying something happened. Oh man, but with everything that's gone on with May, I can't do, it's like, just talk about Uncle Ben.
Yes.
Why are you scared of this?
I'm like, well, is that lack of commitment on the part of the studio?
I don't know.
Or what it's like maybe we're going to retcon this later on. So let's be kind of iffy.
The idea. We know what happened.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a point where like there's always a new audience. There's always a young audience and those people don't know it. Yeah. So I think it's better to have something in there than not have something in there. So what this story does well, I think, is tell that story. But me as a person who has read the Frank Miller run, has watched the Netflix show, which is heavily inspired by the Frank Miller run, specifically The Man Without Fear by Frank Miller and John Romita Jr. It is a little confusing initially.
Sure.
Because I'm reading this and I'm like, how old is he here? Mm-hmm. Did he not go off and train with Stick? His dad is still alive and he's in college. Yeah. Like all of these different, it doesn't quite line up, to which Jeph Loeb would say, let me find the quote here. Yeah. So the book is somewhat in its own continuity, ignoring what Frank Miller and J.R. established as Daredevil's year one story and Man Without Fear. Loeb's response to this was the harshest critics, the continuity police, were bothered by when we branched off from what Frank Miller had established. I don't know. Doesn't it bother anyone how much that branched off from what Stan Lee and Bill Everett had created? There isn't even a yellow costume in it. So there's something in all 4 of these books that are very intentionally living in kind of a nostalgic Silver Age world where we're looking back on these things within the continuity. And I made a note at one point when he's fighting, Daredevil's fighting Electro in this, he says something about how he forgot how the costumed villains never used to kill anybody.
Yep.
And that's an interesting kind of like side effect of just changing editorial mandates and changing tastes over time, but they're not retconning that into, well, those things were happening. We just didn't have it on the page. It's that things have literally changed within this timeline, and the story and the world has gotten darker. And that's part of these stories. And that's part of these kind of sad, nostalgic narratives. So looking at it in that way, you can really see how much Tim Sale and Jeph Loeb love the Stan Lee stuff. They love, in this case, Stan Lee and Everett, who originated Daredevil for Spider-Man. They love, in particular for that thing, Romita Sr. And Stan Lee. So this book opens up, Stan did do the introduction to it, and it's just so classic Stan. Some of my favorite quotes: the mere fact that you're gratefully holding this book and eagerly devouring this oh so beautifully written intro right now shows that you're a reader of rare good taste. So you obviously agree with everything I've said so far. Perfectly, Stan. Yes. By the time I got to book 4, Never Lead With Your Left, I started to feel depressed, knowing I was already halfway through the series. it's like that 1960s salesman, dude.
He's such a showman, you know?
Anyone who can get to the last page without a lump in his or her throat is probably a spy from Brand Ech, which is their like code for like DC or other publishers.
Yeah.
It's so good.
That's so
And
good.
my last one, each cover can truly serve as a prime example of the skill and sophistication in the new species of comic books, of which Marvel is the prime innovator.
So he's got to sell his thing.
Yeah, it's 200001, Stan.
Yeah,
You
can drop
need to
it,
do
man.
this.
Dude, I want a Greatest Showman style like movie musical, perhaps with with Stan and Jack and the whole. Like,
I would be equally annoyed by how rosy they would portray him.
I know they might if they did it right. Give me somebody who knows the industry to write this movie.
Yeah, give me Jack Kirby's family.
We could do this. You know, that could be us.
I don't know.
I'll write a screenplay. You and me, pal.
We can make it happen.
We should.
So, Michael, what the heck is this book actually about?
This book, so you mentioned the nostalgia that runs as kind of the through line through this entire color series that Loeb and Sale did. So all of them, all 4 of the miniseries are kind of this like meditation or rumination on the old like Silver Age of the character stories in this. They're not like exactly retellings or rehashings of origin stories or of old stories.
They just happen to be in those early days
Yes.
for these different characters.
Yep. And they do that by framing them through the characters, like thinking back in certain ways on like their old adventures and things. So in this case, it's Daredevil writing notes to Karen Page, who has since passed away in the narrative. He's writing notes to her and thinking back on the early days of their partnership and of his origin as Daredevil. And so, so he goes through a number of different villains. He goes against the Fixer, the Owl, Electro, the Purple Man. Am I forgetting anybody?
Probably.
Those are the big boys that he goes up against in this, and their goons, of course.
Yeah.
And so a lot of it is it's just remembering these early fights against these villains and how Matt and Karen get involved with one another. And it's kind of a beautiful. It's the kind of book that I feel like, I don't know. Correct me if you don't get this from it. I feel like it's not trying to necessarily lead to anything specific. It's not trying to fit into the overall like existing Daredevil mythos in any
really
certain way. Like it really is a meditation on it. And I kind of love that.
Yeah. All of these kind of have a theme running through them. Spider-Man Blue is very much about grief and Peter not coming to terms with it as much as like, going back through that story and everything. This one is more about Matt coming to terms with his grief and sadness and how things have changed and gotten darker and everything like that, and reconciling that with the early days that were much brighter, were much more fun. This book is very much like a 1950s romantic comedy.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
In the best way. Yeah. And there are some noir dramatic elements to it, especially with Matt hunting down his dad's killer. But largely after that, the book really proceeds as, Foggy and Matt are both interested in Karen, and it's this little competition, and they both think that they, whichever one of them decides that they get to have her, then things are set.
Yeah.
But then ultimately Karen is like the one that's got them wrapped around her finger.
Yes.
Which is very good. But it's all of that is framed around the fact that Karen has been killed by Bullseye. I think it's interesting to note that these books, this one especially, this came out in 2001. Around, I don't know if it was before or after 9/11, but it was around that time. So you get a lot of comics in this period. This was pre-Marvel Knights, but it was in a separated line, prestige line, that would eventually become Marvel Knights by the time that Spider-Man Blue came around. And it's interesting that you get a lot of these more cynical, darker stories that specifically were supposed to be made with the Marvel Knights imprint. The goal is that was like their Vertigo. Yeah. It was the darker stories. It was the more grown-up stuff and things like that. It's interesting looking at these more cynical stories that were coming out of this post 9/11 era. Also a time when, comics were really in a hole. Like the industry was going way downhill. This is around the time that Marvel was really struggling. They had sold a lot of the film rights to a lot of their characters in order to just stay afloat. And Spider-Man was coming out the next year and was maybe a hope to save the industry of a little bit of revival.
But who knows ahead of time?
Yeah. I read an interview that Jeph Loeb did. This is how early 2000s. This was on like a Daredevil forum message board. Yeah. An interview that he did with this website. manwithoutfear.net or something.
I saw this. Yeah. Yes. I looked up the same thing.
It's great. And there's a point in it towards the end where he mentions like they ask him about the Spider-Man movie, because I think that they had announced that they were doing Spider-Man Blue next and it was going to come out around the same time as the movie.
Yeah. Great timing.
Yeah. And he was like, I don't know. Like, will it cause a big revival like Batman did, Batman 89? Probably not. Right. But we'll see. And, sure enough, really good. It did really well. And it did bring the industry back in a large way. But in all of that, it's interesting that movie is very Silver Age. Yes. And these books in this very grown-up line, in a very grown-up cynical time, chose to, instead of jumping into that Frank Miller, dark and grungy stuff, to go back into the Lee and Everett world, into the Lee and Romita world, and to say, what is the beauty in this, and what is the kind of nostalgic young love kind of thing in all of this? The joy of being a superhero that you get a lot in the original Daredevil runs that kind of goes away in the, lapsed Catholic self-hatred Daredevil that Frank Miller kind of popularized, which again, also good, just very different.
Yes. Yeah. It really does feel like playing a greatest hits album at the best time. Because the industry was in such turmoil, there was not a better time for them to hit everybody's favorite parts of these stories. So I was really happy to see that. I remember reading Spider-Man Blue years and years ago. I'm thinking man, this kind of has everything. And this, I hadn't read this yet, but this very much translated that as well. Yeah. Because it has what you want from Daredevil.
How do you know what I want from Daredevil?
I know what you want.
You're right. What do you think of Tim Sale in this?
Gosh, I love when Tim Sale, when I notice him doing his ink wash thing.
Yes.
I just get giddy about it. You know what I mean? Like there are parts when the darker portion of Daredevil's suit is just black. Yeah. He doesn't even try to color it in with its reddish brown kind of vibe.
Because that's the way that you would have done it. Yeah. Back then too.
Yeah. And I'm like, man, I can't get enough of when he does that. And I love what I love the best, especially reading this issue where it gives, in the back, it kind of gives some context to how it's done.
Yeah, and the design process and working with Matt Hollingsworth to make it look like it was even like originally, Hollingsworth's colors are gorgeous and really makes the ink wash look like it was just watercolor in the first place.
Yeah. No, it really, really does. And then it'll even give on the inside, like inside of some of the covers in this, it'll show like some of the coloring instructions that Say leaves behind. Yeah. And some of the covers will say, you know, like yellow, brown, red D or something like that. Yeah. You know, it's so cool. And and it shows the trust between everybody in the creative team. Yeah. It's like even Loeb has his script written out. And has it separated into the panels that Sale ends up using. Yeah. You know, and so it's like, it shows, again, I go back to this a lot with comics. It's like, I think that there, you know, in certain mediums, like in photography is kind of how I think of it. Everybody in photography, if you follow anybody on Instagram or on YouTube or whatever it is, you shouldn't. I wouldn't. No, you should.
Wouldn't catch me following anybody.
Everybody everybody's going to talk about using Lightroom to edit. Everybody's going to talk about the rule of thirds. Like there are these like hallmark things of like about the medium that just about everybody uses within reason. I'm not saying everybody like all the time.
It's everybody.
It's every last one.
And if you don't do it, you're dumb.
You're a fool and you're bad at the art.
But subscribe.
But yes,
like and subscribe and hit that bell.
Like and subscribe. Marshall loves being a YouTuber.
His Loeb's background is in screenwriting. He wrote a lot of movies. He wrote Commando. Other things that I can't remember. Yeah. He did an uncredited rewrite on a Arnold Schwarzenegger directed remake of Christmas in Connecticut in 1992.
I didn't know about that one.
Nobody did.
That's crazy work.
It is a very little known factoid. It's a very strange story that I can tell you about later.
Sounds like
it's a terrible movie. Diane Cannon plays the Barbara Stanwyck character. And Chris Christopherson
don't tell me.
plays in this, he's not a war hero. He's like a firefighter or something. And he saves a kid off of a mountain. I can't remember. It's so bad.
Let's have a rewatch of that this season with our wives. That'd be great.
It's crazy. It's very bad. But yeah, his background is in screenwriting. So if you do look at like the snippet of the script that he's written out there, it is written like a screenplay.
Yes, it is.
Where there is no right way to do it. I just went to my old high school and talked to some students about comics and graphic novels and what is all of it about. And I'm going to turn some of that into a video. I didn't record it, but I have the PowerPoint and everything. So I'll probably just shoot that and make it a thing on the channel so you guys can watch that soon, hopefully. Yeah. But part of that was talking about writing comics and like the question is, how do you write comics? And my answer is, I don't know. Yeah. Like there's not a right way to do it. And I had a few examples of like, here's the first, 12 pages, 10 pages or so of The Killing Joke. Here's how Alan Moore writes his scripts. And it's just dense. He's almost writing a novel, it looks like. Yeah. And then there's, Dark Horse has a specific method. There's the screenplay method in general. Some publishers have a way that they want you to do it. There's different things that are more standard than others, but ultimately there's not a right way to do it, which is very unique in that, if you're writing a novel, you're just starting to write your novel. Maybe you have an outline for it, but otherwise you're just starting to write it and then going back and fixing it up. Yeah. If you're writing a screenplay, there is a right way to do that. That if you don't do it, you're not going to get anything greenlit.
Yeah, disjointed and weird and off pace and things. Yeah.
But comics, it just doesn't, you have your own style of doing it. And this creative team of Sale and Loeb, and then whatever colorist they choose to work with, all the colors in all of these 4 books are fantastic. They're just fantastic. And Loeb talks a lot about his reverence for Tim Sale and how, he has ideas for books about Batman or Superman or whatever character. He has stories that he would like to tell that he's interested in telling, but he's not going to do it unless Tim says, yeah, I've got time and ability and interest to do that. Yeah. He's like, if Tim said, I have an idea and interest in doing a book about the Secret Six, then that's the story that we're telling next. Totally. And that's a really interesting dynamic of writer and artist in comics. And it really shows how important the art is in a comic in a large way, a little bit more so than just the pure writing of it. It's really an interesting thing, these two guys' dynamic specifically, and the kind of look inside it that we've gotten to have over the years here. The ink washes are great. The limited color palette really brings out the big moments.
They don't overdo the yellow thing either. It's the name of the thing, and it serves a narrative,
thematic purpose of nostalgia and naivete of this early time and everything like that.
Yeah.
But there's even pages that just like, because you have a limited color palette, I can't remember who said it. I think it was Matt Wilson, who's a really great colorist who's worked at Marvel a lot. He did a video as part of the Marvel course with Proco, which is really cool. Talking about limited color palettes and everything, and how if you put too many things in a scene, it starts to become distracting, and the less things that you have there, the more you're able to direct the eye. And I just think about the scene of Battling Jack, Kid, Murdoch in the ring.
You don't
fighting
need two
Creel.
nicknames. Why'd they do that?
I don't know, because Loeb just wants to be unique a little bit. He has the I'm special syndrome a little bit here, and that's good, and that's fine because he's making good stuff.
Yeah.
But the way that it's all framed is so gorgeous, with like Jack punching out Creel, and then you like that. There's more bright color there, and in the foreground, there's Matt and Foggy in the audience and everybody, and you can see all these different things happening in this scene very clearly. But because of the way it's colored, it's very easy to distinguish these different things and get depth also between those different things. Earlier panel in that I really love is when Sweeney is trying to, the fixer is trying to tell Jack, like, okay, go down. Mm-hmm. And Jack is looking real tough, and he's like, I'm not going to, man, screw you.
Yeah.
And he is in much more color, and the fixer is kind of in shadow a little bit. And again, you get that depth, but it serves a narrative purpose, and it serves a physical, literal purpose within the art and the way that Hollingsworth is directing your eye and directing your attention. Yeah. And it's just this perfect like combination of all these different things that only comics can do. Totally. It's just so good. Yep. It's great.
It is so great.
I love that. Yeah. My favorite panel in all of this, there's a couple of them. One is when Matt is hunting down the fixer, and there's that great line of that he's taking a fall. His heart.
The cunning warrior attacks neither body nor mind.
Tell me how!
The heart, Osborn. First, we attack his heart.
Is going out, but it's like he's, giving up, which is really interesting. That's a kind of a fun parallel there. I love the boxing language in that scene. Totally. But there's a spot in that one of those pages where Matt just looks like Batman. Yeah. And is that whole sequence of him chasing down those two guys is very Batman.
Yes.
Of like, I'm hunting these dudes down. I'm an unstoppable force, and it's like unnatural. Yeah. The fixer is running in the sewers, or not in the sewers, in the subway tunnels.
Yeah.
And Matt is there, and he's like, are you kidding me? Yeah. Like, how is he still here?
Yep.
It's incredible. It's totally. This like, oh no, like I was away and now he's there. And there's this great specific panel where he's kind of like in silhouette, and it's very gorgeous, very Batman. Yeah. My other favorite is the complete opposite of that, where Sale draws beautiful women, and he, in one panel in this, kind of goes away from his more icon style into a slightly more realistic style when he has a close-up on Karen. And I love when artists make comic book characters look like movie stars, like classic movie stars.
Yeah.
And there's this one panel in here where I swear that Sale was drawing Grace Kelly.
Yeah.
And it just...
I know the one you're talking about.
And it's very highly detailed compared to the much more like typical Tim Sale, slightly more cartoon style. But it really sells this, like, it's the Uzumaki thing, right? Of like, you've got the more cartoon thing over here and the really detail thing over here. And because there's that separation, it really like snaps your brain into focus mode of like, this matters and this is important. Totally. And it's a big hit.
Yeah.
And that one, like Grace Kelly, look at this, like one of the most beautiful women who's ever existed. Like, that moment gets you.
Yeah.
And it sells. You don't have to draw her that realistically for the rest of the book because that image sticks in our mind, and that's what we imagine Karen now. That's what we see. Yeah. And it's very, very good. It's very well done.
Well, and you'll get even more of that next week too with Spider-Man Blue, which focuses heavily on two very pretty ladies that are that like through the eyes of Peter Parker are the most beautiful women he's ever seen.
Oh, for sure.
It's this whole deal. It's so cool.
Yeah,
I am curious, speaking of that comparison with Daredevil and Spidey, How do you as an artist have a line on like, hear me out. They're two very like acrobatic characters.
Yeah.
But if you, I get the feeling that the way that Sale draws them both, if you put them just as silhouettes in front of me, I could still pick out that's how he draws Daredevil.
Yeah.
That's how he draws Spidey. How does he do that as an artist? Like, do you have a sense of how he distinguishes those two, even though they're kind of doing the same things?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's down to the kind of fighters they are and the kind of fighting they do. Is that Spider-Man, even if you compare Sale's work, Spider-Man is a bit more slim, and I think maybe a little shorter than Daredevil would be. And Daredevil, the way that Sale draws him, he's pretty lithe and kind of the more early Everett type stuff. Before he was more of a bruiser boxer type that he's drawn as today, where he's more of like the Christian Bale in Batman Begins physique. Sure. Yeah. But he's a little taller, which makes a bit of a difference. And he is a little bit thicker. Yeah. Like he's a bit more dense physically, not as much as like Sale's Superman, certainly, where he was intentionally drawing him as like a farm boy. But if we look at the scale of like more slim muscle men, you get Spider-Man wearing this costume that isn't like accentuating his muscles as much, but he's a lot more slim. Daredevil, who is a little bit thicker and a little bit taller, and then Batman, who's basically the same build as Daredevil is in this, except that his muscles are just accentuated and rippling in every possible way. So like that's kind of the main thing. Like even here, you can see he's kind of like denser and thicker. Yeah. His head is different as well. He's got a much more square jaw, where Peter is a bit more not coming to a point, but it's more rounded off. Like in Spider-Man Blue, Sale was very intentionally trying to evoke Romita Sr.
Yes, and you see that in a lot of there's a 1-to-1 like tracing element in a lot of these panels.
It's very clear of like where the inspiration is coming from. Even in the coloring. The coloring is very different. He's not doing the ink washes in that one, and we'll get more into that week. Yeah. But that's kind of the main thing to me, I feel like, is just their builds are different. And like modern day, if you look at the difference between these two guys, it's kind of the same thing, where like Daredevil is a bit more dense. He's a bit more of that boxer type thing. But it's a weird thing where you kind of have to do a little bit of that and a little bit of ninja. Yeah. And then Spidey is just full on like lithe, wiry kind of dude.
Yes.
But even then, I kind of prefer what Romita does and what Sale does in this, which is making him a bit bigger. Yeah. Like he's got a physique. And I like that for Spider-Man. I don't like when he's just kind of perpetually a teenager.
Totally.
Which I think I even read an interview where Sale was like, I think we can all agree that Spider-Man's best stories are beyond the year one. That's been done again and again and again. And we don't want to do that.
Over and over. Yeah.
Which is interesting. Like college stuff is when it really gets good.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I would say, Michael.
I like
that. To that.
That's a great answer. I just love that their action shots like show them so differently yet so similarly too. It's like and it's Spidey's also like, in these non-human like positions that only the most flexible people could get into, whereas Daredevil's very much more,
he's still a guy
like trapeze, like graceful, more of a swan to Spider-Man's.
I even saw Loeb compare him to Robin in a lot of ways, where I
like that, where
like Frank Miller's Daredevil is very Batman-esque, and he put a lot of Batman into that version of the character, but the original version of him was much more like Robin in that he is very acrobatic and he has this kind of wonder and excitement about being a superhero that Batman doesn't have. Batman has that dark mission that we more associate with Daredevil now, especially because of the Netflix series. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know.
Totally.
It's really good. I mean, the legacy of these books, they're still hugely popular. Spider-Man is the biggest one of these four for sure, but the second in line would easily be Daredevil Yellow.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, these books, their DC work was already really popular with Dark Victory, Long Halloween, Superman for All Seasons, but these books really cemented Loeb and Sale as like a powerhouse creative force. Yeah. And it's just really good stuff. I'm a big fan. I'm excited to read the rest of them. I've never read, I mean, we said this off the air. Neither of us have read Hulk Gray or Captain America White before.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't. They weren't even in my conscience or consciousness rather as inclusions with these.
Yeah, so I'm excited to get into those and see what the heck is going on with that. That's what we have to say about that book. Next week we are talking about Spider-Man Blue.
Get stoked.
So get excited for that. It's really good. Check it out, yo.
Pack it up, pack it in. Let us
pack it up, pack it in. That's what we have to say about that. Thanks for listening, everybody. If you like this book, you can check out other stuff like Man Without Fear, like just Frank Miller's run in general. I've got some of that down here. Charles Soule's run is really good. Daredevil's is really good. Daredevil's been really good for most of the world.
Yes.
Read most of history.
Read all the Daredevil things. Yeah. Watch our former episode on Daredevil. Our first ever episode of this show was on the comics that inspired the TV show.
Yeah, about the new season of the show.
Yep.
I would say if you really like this book in particular, the one run on Daredevil that I would really suggest is Mark Waid and Chris Samnee's run on the character.
We love Mark Waid.
Yeah, I really do love Mark Waid. I actually haven't read that run, but I know that it's a much more lighthearted.
The heart, Osborn. First, we attack his heart.
Kind of fun era for the character, which I think is even coming out of the Bendis stuff, which is really dark. So it's a bit of a whiplash in that. But he like moves to the West Coast and is, I think his identity is public at that point.
Yes.
I can't remember.
Feels very West Coast Avengers and fun. Yeah. It's cute.
Yeah. Hey everyone, it's the Comic Book Show. We're back again to talk about Spider-Man Blue. It's the second book in the Marvel Colors series of books. They did Daredevil Yellow. They did Spider-Man Blue. They did Hulk Gray. They did Captain America White.
I want to point out, you get so intense with your intros. You give them the Clockwork Orange, like Stanley Kubrick stare. Can you do your best impression of that into the camera right now? There you go. You got to look through your eyebrows. That's nice. I like that quite a bit. You'll never catch me doing that because I'm nice to you guys and I like hanging out with you. But it's good to see you here. Hopefully you think it's good to see Marshall here and me also.
I didn't see you there.
Oh,
welcome.
Talk about a cold open.
Welcome to the Spider-Man Blue episode. We are talking about Spider-Man Blue. Last year Last week it's been a long time. Last week we did talk about Daredevil Yellow. It's a really good book and everyone should check it out if you want to. Here's the thing. You can watch it.
Wow, there it is. And we loved it, or we hated it. Guess you won't know till you listen to it.
We loved it.
Except you've already listened to it, and we love it. Yeah.
I want to tell you about Spider-Man Blue, Michael.
I want to hear about it.
This is a book where a guy named Spider-Man is just feeling down.
Peter Spiderman.
He's feeling blue. Which is sad.
It's like the name of the thing.
So these 4 books are really cool. They all have a color associated with them that all mean different things. And in this case, it's Spider-Man dealing with grief and stuff like that. And it's very good. Loeb, who wrote this, Christopher Loeb. Oh, man. There's going to be so much editing on the beginning of this episode.
Bring me your face so I can wake you up. Whap.
It can happen. Jeph Loeb wrote this one. It was penciled and inked by Tim Sale, colored by Steve Bucalato, lettered by Wes Abbott and Richard Starkings. So this is the second of the color books, the 4 color books. Here they are, 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow, so cool.
So cool.
And we're going to hit them all 4 of them. Yeah.
Cross off Daredevil Yellow because we already did that.
That one's done. Next week is going to be Hulk.
Roar.
That's what he sounds like.
Well, we might do Christmas in between. We'll see.
There's Christmas that can happen anytime if
Christmas
you really
happens.
Want it to.
Klaus might be something that we talk about. If you've ever heard of Klaus, it's a good book. So
it's
fun.
fun.
You're going to find out from us all about it.
Okay. This book is really good. I like it a lot. It came out of the early 2000s. This came out at the basically same time that Spider-Man #1 came out in 2002.
Yep.
So it was kind of
the movie that is.
Yeah, it was really good timing in that way. Even though these are very different stories. And part of the impetus for making this was that Loeb and Sale saw that they were not doing Gwen Stacy in that movie. They were just skipping straight to MJ, and they were like, "What? We cannot let Gwen Stacy be forgotten."
Yes.
So they went and made this story, which the major kind of thrust of it is Gwen Stacy and MJ, and especially Gwen, and Peter's grief around Gwen's death at being dropped off of a bridge and stuff like that.
R.I.P.
R.I.P. in pieces.
Yes, please. There is more yellow in this book than I think there was in any part of Daredevil Yellow because of Gwen Stacy's hair.
It's very bright.
So much. They choose the hair in this to draw your eyeball more than it's almost like it almost doesn't work.
It's a heavy contrast between MJ and Gwen, because if you look at the original comics, her hair is not super bright yellow necessarily as much as it is kind of like a platinum blonde.
Well, not even just contrast between the two of them, but contrast between them and the entire world around
the rest of the scene.
Like nothing else in any panel is as colorful as the hair of these two girls.
Right, and it makes them stand out. That's an interesting creative choice.
Yeah.
Good job, Mr. Bucaletto. What do you think about this book, Michael?
I love this book.
Why?
You remember me talking about it on our starter comics episode. If you haven't heard that, check it out because it's really good. It's the perfect comics to start with.
Yeah.
This is one of them. This was, I think, the last one on my list, I think.
Maybe.
And I still think it's just perfect. It's got like, you won't not smile reading this book.
I frowned the whole time.
Because it's all, okay, well, you're just like that. You're just built different. Everybody else smiles the whole time because it's got all the love story that we want from Spider-Man. Yeah. It's got two ladies fawning over Peter Parker. How did that happen?
Being like, what the heck do I do about this?
Yeah. This is the least put upon Peter Parker. Say put upon Peter Parker.
Put upon Peter Parker.
Thank you.
Yeah.
He's the least that in this book than I've ever seen him before because he has two like the two most beautiful ladies in New York.
Yeah.
Like competing over him.
But he's equally confused about it.
Yes. No,
he's
100%.
Like, what is happening?
He's got the coolest apartment that he's living in rent free because he's friends with Harry Osborn.
Yeah.
Even Flash Thompson's bullying is like seen as uncouth by everybody else. So it's like it doesn't feel like the whole world is on his shoulders in this book.
Yeah.
Which kind of frees him up to fight villains and to just to do all the Spider-Man and Peter Parker things.
Yeah.
And I love that a lot. And so the whole tone is very fun, even though it's framed in this like sense of grief that he's processing and working, that Peter is processing and working through.
Yeah, which is, I don't think we said, all these books are kind of going back in like a kind of nostalgic way and looking at events that made the characters who they are. So in Daredevil, that was the death of Karen Page, and that is framed by him writing a letter to her as a kind of like a therapeutic thing. This one is Peter using like a tape recorder to just like talk to Gwen about this thing that happened, her death on Valentine's Day and stuff like that. And he's just kind of going through that story and how it's not really, this is what I like about this book and about Daredevil Yellow, is that it's not about the death of Karen Page and it's not about the death of Gwen Stacy, but those events haunt these stories, where it's really about how in both of these cases, how the titular character meets X person.
Yep.
And kind of like the hope and promise and expected future in that and how it was cut short. And it's this very like beautiful but also tragic thing that they do in Sale and Loeb do in Long Halloween as well, where like that Harvey is going to become Two-Face at some point. Is it going to be in this book? Is it going to be later? We don't know.
Yeah.
But everything they do to make you like him more and more makes you also just more and more sad because you know what's going to happen. And they're playing with that foreknowledge that you have as the reader, which is really interesting. And that's what they're doing in this, where we know that Gwen has died. If you don't know that comic's history, Peter explains that more or less, the same thing in Daredevil Yellow. And you kind of move forward with that. So it's Gwen's ghost kind of haunting this story as Peter is retelling how they met, how MJ showed up and everything. And it is interesting how integral MJ is to this also, because while Loeb and Sale made this story partly because they didn't want Gwen to be forgotten, you can't overstate how important Mary Jane eventually becomes, especially in the wake of Gwen's death.
Yeah.
So that character also being here in this slightly rewritten continuity, like they also did in Daredevil Yellow, is still very important and really showing the party girl and everything like that in order to have that change after Gwen dies, which he makes a mention of, is really important.
Yeah.
And it's just done so well. It's done so well.
Dude, I never had as much fun reading Mary Jane as I did in this series.
Yeah.
Like there's a part near the end where it talks about how, oh my gosh, it was something like Spidey himself says something like, the world was a party and Mary Jane's the cake in her mind.
Yeah.
And that so comes through in all of her dialogue. And like they do the cool, like bottomless confidence of her so well. And they make it so fun.
Yeah.
And you almost feel the butterflies that Peter Parker is feeling because he's this dweeb that is getting, that's getting hit on by like the hottest girl in New York. Yeah.
And it's an interesting thing where like they really sell really well this thing of like, Gwen is clearly the grown up here. Yeah. So if you are going to actually have to choose between these two people, you should choose Gwen. Yeah. But there is this great temptation to choose this extremely gorgeous, really fun girl who probably would not be the right decision in your life. You might regret this. Yeah. However, all of the events that happen in this story and everything that kind of transpires and the stuff that happens with Gwen's death then kind of creates a different Mary Jane that like she kind of grows up and is still that fun person, but just realizes like, oh, like the world is not just a party and everything. And that makes her into a person that now can handle like an adult relationship and like being a serious person and everything like that. Yeah. And that's what happens in the original stories as well. But they do it in a way in this that grounds it a lot more compared to just like, it's 1960s and we're the coffee bean gang and we love to hang out together and go like, oh, it's a gang. The gang is all here. We're having a great time and everything. There's a very heavy contrast in this that isn't as present in the original comics, which I like a lot. I think it's very well done.
I got a hint of that though, even like in the fact that they all just spend so much time together. It's like no matter what.
Yeah, you still get the gang all together.
Yeah,
and
you get MJ, Gwen, Harry, and Flash all hanging out. They're all together, inexplicably all the time. Yeah. Again, in the most fantastical apartment you've ever seen.
It makes me nostalgic for a college era that I didn't live in.
Yes, me too.
It's like, man, I remember just get back in those times like, oh, I didn't go to college. Oh.
But gosh, does it make you want
remember.
Dude, I hear it. No, absolutely. Well, in the, it feels like Christmas. Yeah. There was this very surreal, even in my like reading experience. I was going back through it this morning. Yeah. And there's a light snowfall going on even as we're filming this right now. And there's a snowfall that happens at least in the latter half of the book. I don't think it's throughout the whole thing necessarily.
Yeah, it's in like the last and second to last issues.
Yes. Yeah. And it feels like that, it's like everybody gets, I think, a little romantic about New York at Christmas, even if they haven't been there, they've seen it on screen and everything like that. This totally feels like that. It's just like college buddies hanging out in the winter, in the snow.
He's like going and chilling and like doing whatever. We're going to go hang out and have a party, or we're going over here. We're going to go see a show. Like it's just the very like, and like all the dialogue too is very like, hey, daddy-o. And like, it's that in the way that in Daredevil Yellow felt like a 50s noir romantic comedy kind of thing. Yeah. This very much feels like a hip teen 1960s beach movie. Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah. It's this one lives in the style of dialogue of Stan Lee in the 1960s, into 66 when Romita took over on art and everything, more than Daredevil Yellow felt like it lived in that Lee and Everett kind of style of dialogue necessarily. And maybe that's just because this is so integral to these characters and the way that they interact. Yeah. But it's really good. Like they don't ever in any of Loeb and Sale's books firmly say like, oh, it's 1960 or whatever. They're not placing it in a time, but the vibe and the style of everything really evokes that classic Marvel feeling.
It does. It really,
and this
really
one
does,
especially does that for me.
The vibes are here in such a way, in a way that I think other creative teams only dream of crafting so effectively.
Yeah, it has that timeless Batman the Animated Series thing.
Yes, it does. Well, and I think it's up to the whole team, but I attribute it mostly in this case to Sale's artwork. He just draws it a certain way. He knows what you want to see. He knows what will feel good. and he puts it in there, and he does it in such a way that it calls back to.
It evokes Romita.
Yes, in so many ways. You get that exact same. You get the Amazing Fantasy redrawing,
when he catches
which is
Flash,
so cute.
which is so fun.
You get the old MJ intro that I don't know if that's like exactly if that's a 1-to-1 trace in that same way, but
I read an interview where Loeb said that he was kind of uncomfortable with Spidey's voice initially. Like he wasn't sure. This is the first time he wrote the character, so he wasn't sure he was going to get it quite right. And I felt like he nailed it.
I do
like
too.
all the jokes, the little quippy jokes and everything land. They don't feel annoying. They feel very of the era. It's very fun. Yeah,
definitely. It wasn't overdone either. Like lesser. That's my thing with these is like lesser artists and authors. Are so much less subtle. You know what I mean? The subtleties that these guys have figured out throughout their careers are just out of this world. Same thing last week when I said that they didn't overuse the color yellow like I thought they might.
It was more about the limited color palette and then using yellow as a big impact moment.
Same with this. Same deals in all those ways I mentioned there.
Yeah.
It's like the brightness of the girl's hair colors, but it's all throughout. It's a perfect use of color.
Because this one, if we want to talk about color for a little bit,
let's do it.
Hollingsworth colors on Daredevil Yellow felt more unique and artistic to me than what Buccellato was doing in this. This is still a gorgeous book, but it feels more like it's specifically trying to evoke Romita and Lee's era of comics. In the style of coloring, in the colors they're choosing, except that it is a slightly more limited palette. Like it is a very artistically chosen palette. It's a very visually pleasing book. It's just not using the color in the same kind of way that Hollingsworth did, where there's a very limited palette. There's like very like specific chosen groups of colors on the page, and that's it. And you use very high contrast between this thing and that thing to really distinguish depth and stuff like that. This reads a lot more like a typical comic. Like it's the difference between, The Long Halloween and Superman for All Seasons. Where like The Long Halloween is a lot more traditional in the way that it's colored and also drawn. Like Sale is not doing the ink wash thing in this. It's just straight up inks. And it looks great, and for what they're trying to do, it fits really well. I just would wonder what it would look like if it was fully kind of doing that ink wash watercolor thing, and I don't think it would look as good. I think there's something about Daredevil that it really fit that story that this story doesn't fit as much. And maybe that's because we're doing something that is much more specifically tied to a thing in the comics compared to Daredevil Yellow, which is much more its own separated story, where this is very much like Death of Gwen Stacy. This is the era. This is the story that we're sort of retelling. Compared to Daredevil Yellow being mostly just fully fresh and brand new and made up and everything. I don't know.
Yeah. I think there's also a lot more nostalgia in Spider-Man than in Daredevil. I mean, there's no way around that. And so when these are nostalgia-based things, including the visuals, and this is hot off the heels of the 90s cartoon, which I think shares a lot of the visual language.
That show is very much like a Romita kind of feeling thing.
Yeah, they're tied.
It feels like the classic
closely.
books.
Yep, 100%. And so for the time that this was written and to fit the nostalgia, I think it was a layup to go like let's make sure that this all looks the way that people would expect it to look when they're thinking back on the old stuff. Right. Because it's framed in such a way that that Spidey is thinking back on his old adventures when he's a little bit older.
I read an interview where Loeb talked about how this one kind of this is maybe his favorite one in a large part of these 4 books, just because it kind of holds his big philosophy on life personally, which is the Peter Parker thing of things typically have to get pretty bad before they start getting good again.
Yeah.
And sometimes immediately after each other throughout the day, constantly. And that's not a thing of good and evil necessarily as much as it is just like great things happen, also bookended right by also, oh no, this terrible thing just happened. Yeah. And it just like, it's so uneven, especially in Peter's life. If things are going well in his personal life, Spider-Man stuff is going badly. If Spider-Man stuff is going really well, personal life is going badly. Yeah. And you get a lot of that in this in a way that isn't just played out and boring and annoying.
Totally.
Where I feel like so much of the time, modern Spider-Man stuff, it's just hard to read because it's just kind of torture porn a little bit of like, man, that Parker luck. Oh man, my life is so hard. I've got no money and nobody likes me and I'm kind of an awkward teenager. And it's like, we don't have to keep doing this. Yes. Yeah. Like
it can be more interesting.
Yeah. He was an awkward teenager for the first few years of the character. And that's it.
Yeah.
And you move into the college time and he is much more suave and handsome and cool and charismatic like he is in this. And then beyond that, like the character grows and changes. He still has struggles like any character, but it's not like he's just constantly horrifically down on his luck and he's never got money and he's never going to survive and he doesn't have a job and he doesn't all the, like, it's just, there's such a danger constantly of Spider-Man, I feel like, becoming a self-insert character for a writer when Peter has a very distinct personality.
Yes.
And Loeb does that very well. Yeah. Loeb hits that personality on the head. It's really true to the character in a way that reading modern books, sometimes it just feels like we're writing a caricature of this character. And then I remind myself that technically Peter Parker has been dead since 2014. And this version in the comics now is not actually him.
Yeah.
Check out Superior Spider-Man. That's my excuse for myself. That's my headcanon of why the books have kind of gone downhill, is because this is literally not the original Peter Parker. But also, you know, it's just it's the Flanderization of the character who's been around for years and years and years. And it's crazy reading this and comparing that to current ongoing books and realizing that Amazing Spider-Man is almost to issue 1000. And I'm not seeing any talk about that. Yeah. Nobody's hyped about it. Nobody's generating hype about it, but it's getting there.
Yeah.
And that's a huge milestone.
It should be. I don't know why it's not treated that way.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Something about Marvel editorial right now with Spider-Man just they don't know what to do with him, or they just refuse to just like actually do anything that the fans are interested in or like. And I don't know. It's a weird balance of, you got to write what you want to write and write for an audience of one, and that's you. Yeah. But there is also a consideration of, if people are telling you this is horrible, we hate this sucks, what are we doing? Maybe the thing that you're writing isn't that good. And maybe you need to do something else. And maybe that's creative, constructive criticism and not just people getting down on you. And
totally,
I don't know. I'm going on a bit of a rant here, but that's okay.
Well, I think it's because you're somebody that actually cares about the industry itself rather than the business of it. Like there's something to say for that. So I think that's fair of you to point out.
Thanks, Michael.
You're welcome, buddy.
What else do you have to say about Spider-Man Blue?
Villains. Villains work into it so well. Yeah. There was never a point when I was like, this is a random person to show up, even though like on paper, it is kind of random.
Yeah.
Like,
and if it is, that's intentional of like, oh man, things were going so great. Crap, it's the Rhino. Darn it.
Yeah. Yeah. Or Kraven just rolls in as the big bad.
Yeah.
Doesn't feel weird.
No.
Feels random, but not weird.
It's been telegraphed throughout the book a little bit.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's cute though.
The fights are really fun. Sales work is just really dynamic in this one. It's so cool seeing him just slide very comfortably into drawing a character like Spider-Man, who can be kind of tough to get right and he can be kind of tough to make really dynamic on the page, but he really does a great job of it. And we talked about the comparison to Daredevil on the last episode, and they're both acrobatic characters, but you really get this super version of that in Spider-Man, that Daredevil still is like a regular guy. Totally. And Sale does a really good job of selling that. I also just love that he's really evoking Romita in this, in the style of it and everything.
This might be a premature if this then that, but the YouTube channel Brown Table, have you seen these guys' videos?
Yeah. Mauricio, I'll tag you in this, buddy.
Do it. He does.
Follow us.
He does really, really good, like Spidey little animatics with voiceover and stuff like that.
Yeah. Oh, there's a really Spectacular Spider-Man thing.
Yes, yes. He does a really good dramatized version of some scenes from this in the style of Spectacular Spidey, and it's really cool.
I haven't actually watched it, but I was excited to see it when he's finished it now, hasn't he? Because what that is he like kind of over time created this working relationship with Josh Keaton, who is the voice of Spectacular Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And I think just by buying cameos from him over time, got him to just voice all these lines from this book and then had it animated in the style of Spectacular Spider-Man.
I didn't
which
realize
is
that
so
was part
great.
of the process.
Yep. Yeah.
That's so fun. Because I knew it was the same voice, but I wasn't sure if it could be anything. Nowadays, it could be AI, it could be whatever.
This is pre-AI. This is years ago at this point, I think.
Oh, love that. Yeah.
It's I'll watch that and I'll say, wow, that was cool. In Daredevil Yellow, they play fast and loose with the continuity, and they do that in this a little bit as well, with like the way and time that Harry and Peter become friends, because they were already friends at that point. At this point in the comics originally, but it works fine in this. Again, it feels like a kind of unnecessary change a little bit. Like I don't know what that changes too deeply in the story, but the main thing that I think is interesting in this one is where it does hold to continuity, where they specifically reference something that happens in the death of Gwen Stacy, in the epilogue to the death of Gwen Stacy, where it's the very tail end of the book, and Peter is talking into the microphone about how, like, after Gwen, and we mentioned this briefly, after Gwen died, MJ came to the apartment and he was really rude to her. And that is a real thing that happened in the comics in the epilogue to the death of Gwen Stacy. And it's this great moment because that is when Mary Jane grows up. Like she decides, like Peter, she walks in. Yeah. She says, "Hey, Petey, I heard about Gwen. I'm really torn up." And he says, "You torn up? Don't make me laugh, Mary Jane. You wouldn't be sorry if your own mother died. What do you care about straights like me and Gwen? Go on, get out of here. I know you hate sick beds, and believe me, I wouldn't want to spoil your fun." You know, he's gone through horrific trauma, and this is the party girl who loves to dance around, and he's like, this is not the time. So, you know, then Stan writes, for a moment, she hesitates by the door, and it's these great 3 panels of her like really thinking and considering of like, is that all I am? Is that who I'm gonna be?
And it's just quiet.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, it makes you contemplate as she does.
Yeah. And then the closing of the door with that face of like, no, Peter needs me right now. And this is a change.
Yeah.
And it's that really important moment that Peter makes note of in this book of like, that's when she realizes that, you know, the world isn't just one big game and that she isn't the prize necessarily to the whole universe and that it doesn't all center around her and that there's bigger things going on. And it's really good. It's really good.
And there's a lovely reflection of that, like at the ending of this, where you know, Peter's finishing up his recording, which, by the way, like Loeb has worked in even like the tape recorder sounds into the script throughout,
and him like fumbling with trying to use it, and it's not, he doesn't quite know what he's doing.
Yeah, he falls asleep at one point, and he wakes up and says, "I fell asleep while recording this, but
like,
but I had a dream about you, Gwen," and that sort of thing. There's a part that I love where it's just the clicking noise that the tape recorder makes on and off and on and off because Peter can't decide what he wants to say, which I think is wonderful. But at the end of this, he wraps up his recording, and Mary Jane, and it's the middle of the night. It's the first time you see him recording this.
Yeah, he's like sitting in the attic, and it's really dark and everything.
Yeah, which makes it kind of unique because I don't think you ever see Daredevil in Daredevil Yellow like writing to Karen in this same way.
No, you just see him kind of jumping around, and it's the narration happening.
Yeah, but in this, you finally see Peter actually recording this, and he's upstairs in the middle of the night. He's just talking into it. And Mary Jane walks in and says hi. And Peter is like, he's initially like apologetic. He's like, "I'm sorry, how long have you been listening?" Yeah, all of this. But she meets him with a lot of grace in this. Like I should say they meet each other with a lot of grace, you know. Unlike that meeting after the death of Gwen in similar circumstances of her kind of walking in and meeting him in his grief in that way. This time it's much more like, you know, like more mutual agreement, more grace is the best word I have for it.
Yeah. And she says, "Say hi to Gwen for me."
Oh my gosh.
Which is just, it really hits you because
it's heartbreaking. Yeah.
In this book and in the original comics, they were kind of rivals for Peter's attention a little bit. So it's not like they were the best of friends all the time. And in that moment, you know, it's totally understandable and reasonable that she could possibly be a little jealous or uncomfortable with Peter up here in the attic talking to his dead ex-girlfriend.
Yeah, exactly.
And but she meets him in his grief. Yeah. And there's this little, she's probably to a certain degree mourning as well in that, but she's more just like giving him permission to mourn and to feel what he's feeling. And that is so big. And especially then that really sells that moment then that we just talked about with like where Peter says like, oh, I was really mean and things like that. And then her attitude changed. That moment sells that of you get this very different MJ than we've been seeing up to this point where this is an adult and she is like seeing him as a person and not just like a part of her big party. Yeah. And it's very good.
Totally.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's Spider-Man.
Yes. Was that was the title, the ending title screen right there? Just
Spider-Man.
Wow.
The end. Spider-Man.
You put a lot of heart.
The cunning warrior attacks neither body nor mind.
Tell me how!
The heart, Osborn. First, we attack his heart.
You know what you did.
Here's the thing. I do know what I'm doing.
Look at that neck.
We got to pack in.
This is something that I thought was worth talking about is that I think it's interesting that Sale and Loeb started this book, again, partly because they thought they don't want Gwen to be forgotten.
Yeah.
And I think we're weirdly in a place now where Gwen Stacy is being forgotten. Hear me out. This is what I'm thinking. The character of Gwen Stacy, this Gwen Stacy, she's kind of gone. This character isn't really there in the comics anymore. She's not really there in the popular consciousness anymore. It's all Spider-Woman. Mm-hmm. It's all Spider-Gwen, you know? And that I'm glad that version of the character exists because I want women and young girls to have someone to look up to. And I see how important that is to those people. Mm-hmm. I see it at conventions. I see it reflected in just how much Laura loves that character and everything. However, I feel like that version of that character is kind of slowly erasing this version of the character, which is a very important integral part of Peter's story, of Spider-Man's story. And it's like, it was 1960 something. It was the late 60s. So it's a long time ago that was a big deal. But that character and that death has a huge shadow over the entirety of Spider-Man's mythos. We got the death of Uncle Ben, and Spider-Man was doing a ton of stuff slowly growing up through that. But the moment that it really shifted in the comics was the death of Gwen Stacy. And that character slowly kind of just like not existing anymore in favor of Peter being this kind of just like bachelor guy who's kind of awkward and whatever. It's like a weird amalgamation of Andrew Garfield and Tom Holland Spider-Mans specifically. That is what the modern comics have kind of become, and a lot of modern portrayals have kind of become, to the point that it's like, it feels weird watching Into the Spider-Verse that there's not really a big moment. There's a mild moment where Gwen is the one who reaches out to Peter in that and reminisces about her Peter dying. But there's not really a moment, is there, of Peter B making note of like
acknowledging her as somebody from his past? I don't think so.
Which is weird to me.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It just is unfortunate to me that this character that I think is fun and good is slowly kind of just taking over this original thing that is a completely separate thing. This is not the same character, but more and more as these things get shoved into the same universe in the comics, it's getting retconned slowly into oblivion. Yes. And in every adaptation, we jump straight to Spider-Gwen.
And so much of that is what happens is the influence of what happens on screen. Mm-hmm. We've never seen the Spider-Man origin where Gwen and Mary Jane exist at the same time.
Yeah, there's never been a coexisting in all of that. Even in Amazing Spider-Man, where they were eventually going to get to Mary Jane, it was after
Yes.
the death of Gwen Stacy. There's not this coexisting, which is an important part of that story.
Yes, it is. Yeah. And the aftermath of what happens to Gwen is also, it's huge. Like you said, like that's so integral to the story.
Yeah.
And sadly, we just didn't get to see that. That series didn't get that far. And so I think those things are what exist nowadays more in the public consciousness.
Yeah.
And that's why people just don't know. They don't know what they're missing by taking Gwen Stacy, kind of just creating a new character with the same name.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, it's either that or it's just limited to, oh, it's just Spider-Man's girlfriend that dies. Like, yeah, I mean, it is, but there's so much more.
Yeah, and simplifying
there.
it to that degree makes you say, well, that doesn't matter because the important thing is Uncle Ben dying.
Right.
And that's not untrue if that's all that Gwen Stacy is.
Right.
But she's not. She's so much more than that.
Totally, yeah.
And, you know, going back and reading the original comics, the old stuff all the way from 62 is a little bit difficult to get into. But once you get into Romita and Lee's era, it's, first of all, the art is incredible. It's just gorgeous stuff. Romita was a master draftsman. And it's worth reading that stuff just for that. And I went back and I read The Death of Gwen Stacy just to kind of get a reminder of all of that with this. And the art is beautiful. The story is really well done. It's telegraphed out really well. And it just, I don't know, it makes me really nostalgic for that era of the character and that, just that level of quality. Like, it just feels like Spider-Man is slowly kind of forgetting where it came from. And this book does an incredible job of living in that world. Yeah. So I don't know. You can't just go back to the good old days and change one thing and then fix it. You can't just say Peter and MJ are married again and that fixes all the problems with Marvel editorial and Spider-Man editorial right now. Yeah. It's so much deeper than that. But I don't know. It's rough. Yeah. This book is very good though.
It's so good.
Everybody read it.
I can only imagine like the gratitude that Romita must feel in like being around to read this as an homage to his stuff.
Yeah.
And just like experiencing, reading through this, experiencing it through the eyes of the people that were directly influenced by his work. That's gotta be just the most satisfying thing as an artist.
Yeah. Cause I mean, he was still alive when this came out.
Yeah. He did the foreword in that.
Oh, did he? Did Romita
trade
write the foreword in this one?
Yes, he did. Yeah. There it is.
Oh,
look at
man.
that. Yeah, it's really good. You want to take a minute to read it?
No, I can come back to that later. We don't got to do that now. I love Spider-Man Blue. It's really wonderful. It's a really good story about, you know, grief and loss and coming to terms with it. And just, I don't know, growing up and really just trying to do your best. And it's really good. It makes me nostalgic. It makes me nostalgic for a time that I didn't experience. Yeah. You know, that like this is not a thing that literally existed, but I'm like, oh, that was a good time. Yeah. And that is an impressive feat.
Yes, it is. Yeah, that's good art. That's what these guys were shooting for, I believe, and I think they really crushed it.
Yeah.
Do you have any other if this then that that people should look into?
I don't know. I would say read the comics. Like read the Romita and Lee Spider-Man.
Seriously,
like,
do. Yeah.
You can go back and get a little bit of a refresher on the original stuff all the way from 62, but you can jump straight into Romita's run, which started, I mean, Secret Wars was around that time, or that was later. That was like at the mid 80s, but I think it was 66 when Romita took over on like issue 30 something, 36, 37. It's gorgeous stuff. Stan, I gave Stan some crap sometimes for his writing style, but his work in Spider-Man is the best stuff that he did at Marvel. Yes, like he put his whole energy in there. And it's really good. It's really fun and it's worth reading. It's worth checking out. It's very romantic. It's very fun. It's very full of adventure. The art is gorgeous. It's great.
Yeah.
Big fan.
Yep.
Check it out right now.
Big fan, but actually a big human being is who you are. You don't spin around even a little bit.
Well, that's just because my back hurts right now.
Shoveling snow?
Moving a toilet.
Well, moving a toilet.
And sleeping on a recliner.
Moving a recliner and sleeping on a toilet.
Two things can happen. Hey everybody, welcome back to Tales from the Long Box. We're here to talk about the next two color books, just one of them right now, but another one in the next episode. The first one we're going to talk about is Hulk Gray.
What's your best Hulk impression? Pop up.
He kind of pulls an absolute Batman in this one.
Or he does the pose.
There's one panel where he's doing the absolute Batman thing of like
the elbows are real in close to the ribs. Yep. I don't know why he does that.
And this came long before Absolute Batman.
Yeah.
But it's kind of funny. I noticed that one panel where there's kind of some smoke in front of him, and I was like, he's pulling an absolute pose right there. He's busting the absolute out.
He is busting his absolute.
The Hulk is busting his absolute right out for everybody to see.
You guys heard about that. This is a book by Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale, our boys.
Watch out, it's Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale.
They almost caught me.
They're back again. They're back again with another video, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good.
They're studs. If you haven't listened to our not last week's episode, but the previous week and the previous week.
Oh.
Those are the two prior color books that we've covered from Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale.
What are those?
Those are Daredevil Yellow first, and then Spider-Man Blue second.
Oh.
And
that's the previous episode?
No, that's not the previous episode.
It's the previous episode.
It's not that's the previous one.
Oh.
And the previous one.
Oh.
They're from 2 weeks ago and 3 weeks ago.
Oh.
Listen to those. Go listen to them. You'll love them.
Or watch it.
You'll love this one too. Yeah. Or watch it. I guess you can use multiple senses to consume these.
What you should do is you should put it on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts, and also put it up on YouTube, and do all of it at the same time.
Helps us.
Or I'll
that's
be
how
angry.
we say like and subscribe. But that's
And
what
hit
we're
that
talking about. And hit that bell. Ding, ding.
Oh, it's gross. Everybody, Hulk Gray is a pretty cool book. Like Michael said, it was written by Jeph Loeb, penciled by Tim Sale, inked by Tim Sale, lettered by Richard Starkings, and Matt Hollingsworth is back on colors from Daredevil Yellow. He took a little break on Spider-Man Blue, but he's back again. This one came out from 2003 to 2004, and it's again a direct sequel. I mean, not a direct sequel in like story-wise, but it's the continuation of these color books, which is a series of these kind of nostalgic looking back at these original kind of early days of some of these characters from the perspective of the modern time in kind of a tragic lens. So Daredevil Yellow is about Matt and Karen. Spider-Man Blue is about Peter and Gwen and MJ as well, ultimately. And then this one is Betty and Bruce. Yes. Captain America takes a turn. It's not a romantic one. It's the relationship between Bucky and Cap. Mm-hmm. But for now, we'll round out the romantics of these with Hulk Gray.
Yeah.
Do you have a little summary you want to read us?
Oh boy, do I, baby.
Right.
Hulk Gray by Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale revisits the earliest days of the Hulk through a lens of memory, regret, and emotional isolation.
Ooh.
Framed as Bruce Banner speaking to Betty Ross, the story retells his origin and first encounters with the military, particularly General Thunderbolt Ross.
Whoa.
The comic emphasizes the Hulk's role as a misunderstood monster rather than a hero. Banner's transformation is depicted as both a physical curse and a psychological prison defined by fear, anger, and loneliness. Like Loeb and Sale's other color books, Hulk Gray uses its limited palette and reflective narration to explore the emotional core of a legendary character, portraying the Hulk not as a force of destruction, but as a tragic figure born from trauma and rejection.
This is the first one where it's not X character writing some kind of letter to Y deceased character.
Or not even entirely about them.
This one is more about Bruce than it is about Betty.
Yeah, in large part, it's the relationship between the two. Mm-hmm. But it is Bruce coming to terms with himself, which makes it kind of fun and unique for the Hulk too, because it's like famously Bruce Banner and the Hulk are portrayed as separate entities.
Yeah.
So there's even some element of relationship between the two of them.
Yeah, which is really always that's the stuff I really love.
Yes, that's what makes these stories so compelling. Yeah. So relationship is felt all throughout, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool.
So in this one, the framing device is it opens up in these intense black and white panels, which I'm sure is intentional and interesting because this is Hulk Gray and there's a lot of what is the moral ambiguity and the confusion of this character and everything like that. But you're starting out in this modern day stuff where Bruce is talking to his psychiatrist, Dr. Leonard Sampson, who eventually, I don't think it seems that at this point in whatever continuity this is, he has not become Doc Sampson yet, the gamma-powered superhero. Mm-hmm. But he's talking to him. He called him up and said he needed to talk, basically. And that's the framing device for this one is kind of Bruce talking about this story and then Leonard being the kind of poking and prodding psychiatrist being like, oh, you said you brought this thing up. What do you think? Why do you think you did that? And Bruce is like, shut up.
Yeah.
Like, let me say what I want to say.
There's really a lot of that in the narration of this. I thought it kind of wears thin after a little while.
A little
just
bit.
like, I don't need the bickering in the background. Just tell the story.
I think the problem, a little bit of the issue that I had with this one is that it doesn't flow like a single continuous story the way that the other one does. And well, maybe, here's the thing. I think that the first two of these books, Yellow and Blue, they are anthologies a little bit where each issue is a different story.
Yep.
And there's an overarching story that's happening here, but every issue has an open and closed something happening. This one is telling an ongoing continuous story. So you get this thing that you sometimes have to do in comic books where you have to do a little bit of re-explaining what has just been happening.
Yes.
And that, I think, is where that starts to wear thin for me. That's what I was feeling.
Totally.
Is
Yeah.
like we've just come back from commercial and we have last time on Incredible Hulk.
Yeah.
And that is where it starts to be a little bit weird compared to, I mean, all three of these other books. Even Captain America White doesn't have that problem either because it is also that kind of like anthology thing a bit more.
A little bit. Yeah.
It leans a little bit closer to this continuous ongoing single story thing, but it still has like open and close points.
Yes,
and doesn't
definitely.
feel the need to re-explain like where we were just at and how we got to here.
Yeah. And I am thankful for that, for sure. Yeah.
But it's cool.
Yeah. Yes.
Like we start out again in that black and white. And I think you said something about like not Hulk, but Bruce coming to terms with the Hulk and stuff like that. And I think what's interesting is that I don't think he does in this. I think this book finishes and he's still just really angry
yes.
and confused and frustrated. And like, there's not really resolution to this one.
Especially because at the end, the whole
Not to
thing.
skip ahead, but
No, for sure. But I mean, it's worth pointing out. Like,
Point it out.
It's the very beginning, the first couple pages, and the last couple pages are you know they show the frame narrative in that black and white and everything.
Yeah.
And at the end, Bruce gets mad at the conversation that's being had, and turns into the Hulk and
Hulk's
jumps
out
out the
bright
wall.
green.
Yeah. Bright green. It is really like
It's kind of cool.
shockingly green. Yeah. It's a cool, they use a good shade for it, I think.
They do.
But yeah, you're right about that. I don't think he does really. I think there's some level of acceptance. I mean, Leonard even talks him through the 5 stages of grief and everything like that, and talks about how Betty was feeling that and how Bruce might be feeling some of it too.
Right.
That's a cool element of it. And so, yeah, I think it's a lot of the themes do stand out really sharply as like these are good lessons to learn about person to person relationships and how they affect each one of us, like inwardly, that kind of a thing.
Yeah.
And so they tell that really well through the story of Bruce Banner.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of like, there's very different characters that have very different perspectives on what the world should be and how the world works and everything like that.
Yeah.
So like a little bit of context, this story, I don't think it's said I don't think you said in your summary there, but this follows the immediate aftermath of Banner being blasted by the gamma bomb, by the G bomb, and finding out that he becomes this creature initially at night, which they follow with in this as well, that at night he turns into the Hulk and in the daytime he's Bruce Banner again. Yeah. And he's gray initially, which little comic book lore. Initially they just made him gray because they thought that would be a good color. And then they get to the point where they realize that they can't consistently print the same color gray across the book. Yeah. So they had to basically, out of necessity, change him to green.
Yeah. Because they were still on pulp at this time, and the way the ink sat in there, like from printer to printer, was weird.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
I found original issues because I was trying to find, I in our Daredevil episode, I didn't realize that it was that book, Daredevil Yellow, was very specifically retelling the actual first like 6 or so issues of Daredevil.
Yeah.
So I was curious going back to this one because this takes place at the time it does, like immediately at the beginning of Hulk's story. So I was like, I should read those. I should check that out. So I went back and I found the Epic collection, which was the remastered version and everything. And then I found the actual original like scans of original versions of the book, original issues. Yeah. And I found it, first of all, really interesting that they were recolored, seemingly just arbitrarily for no reason.
Yeah.
Like there was no real reason to change the creative color choices that were happening here. And I honestly like the color choices in the original book better. I'll put a few of those on screen as I'm talking about this. It seems like the Marvel Epic Collection version has changed it to be much more realistic, maybe. And in the original, there's a lot more interesting creative choices being made. Again, probably because of those literal physical limitations of like, we weren't able to do it the way that you're seeing in the Epic Collection here, where it has got a little bit of airbrush. It's got more realistic colors. It's got tones that they probably wouldn't have been able to make in that original version.
Yeah.
So they have to do it this way. But I honestly prefer the original.
Yeah.
It's much more interesting to me. It's interesting they've recolored it, but if you look at those original issues, it really doesn't follow it at all.
Yeah.
Like there's this book basically opens on the explosion has happened. Bruce has just saved Rick Jones from the explosion and taken on all of the Gamma himself. Yeah. And then you get the immediate aftermath of that, and that's kind of where the book comes from. In the original book, there is another scientist who Bruce is refusing to share the secret of the gamma ray with him. Yeah. He won't share his notes. So when Rick Jones is out there hanging out playing the harmonica in his Studebaker or whatever the car is, Bruce runs out to get him out of there, and this other scientist detonates it. And then later they encounter him and he has to fight him off and whatever stuff like that. Arbitrary stuff that doesn't matter. Bears no importance on this. Hulk also completely verbose in the original. Yeah. Really interesting. Yeah. Where in this they take on the version of the character that we most generally recognize as the child Hulk, probably, not the Savage Hulk.
Yeah. Which I prefer. I like when he could say a little bit.
Yeah, not too a little bit. Well, there's all different alters, you know, like the Devil Hulk is a lot more verbose. Joe Fixit can talk fully as well. Yeah. The Child Hulk, again, is very childlike. Savage Hulk, very basic language skills, stuff like that. The Maestro, obviously, deep in the future, can talk and everything like that. Yeah. But there's got to be a good in between somewhere, because I don't really like it when he is regular Bruce, basically, as the Hulk, because the dichotomy between these two things is the interesting thing to me, but that didn't really get it. The idea of Bruce actually having DID, dissociative identity disorder, for anybody who doesn't know, they don't call it split personality anymore. The idea of him actually having that completely unrelated to the Hulk hadn't come around until much more, probably in the last like 7 or 8 years. I don't know. And that is a much more interesting thing for this character than that he has that thing, and then the Hulk creates this like physical manifestation of that, basically. Yeah. And you kind of get that in this but not really. This book feels more to me like the Hulk is another part of Bruce. It's a compartmentalized part of Bruce in a different kind of way than you would see in something like Immortal Hulk, where this is a part of him that is scared and innocent and unsure and not sure what's going on. Yeah. That's the same thing. Those mean the same thing.
Yes, but
unsure and not sure what's going on.
Yeah.
That's the same thing.
Yeah. And he says as much to Leonard at one point, like, oh, this is when I realized that, you know, the Hulk, what does he say? The Hulk is a part of me. He's not a separate
not necessarily being. A whole separate entity.
Yeah. Which I'll be honest, I read that and I didn't like it. I like it when they are distinct, you know, they're two people sharing a body, and one can, you know, there can only be one in control at a time and stuff like that. That's the story that I do prefer.
I mean, but it is. Yeah. It is. So I think that is the case here. But it's more that the Hulk is a literal physical manifestation of aspects of Bruce, of parts of him that he would otherwise not be able to get out. Like there is a version of him like the Devil Hulk that just wants to go scorched earth. Scorched earth. And like wipe everything out because he's mad at the world and everything like that. There's also the Child Hulk who just wants his dad to love him, who is so deeply hurt and afraid and that never was able to grow beyond that pain of his abusive father. And there's the Savage Hulk that is the childlike anger breaking out of all that. These are all aspects of him, but they are individual characters. When we talk about the Savage Hulk versus the Child Hulk versus Devil Hulk. These are actual, literal, different versions of him. And the Immortal Hulk does a really good job of portraying them even within Bruce's mindscape as different characters that interact with each other and that come out and take control at different times as like a defense mechanism.
Yes, definitely. That's
That's what I understand him to be saying there. But the difference being that it isn't, this is another being that's taking over. It is an aspect of him that has been made. That's what he's realizing, that this is part of me. It's not like something has been infected into me. This is part of me that has now taken, we're not having a conversation in deciding together this thing or that thing, you know?
Yeah.
It's a weird, hard, nuanced thing to talk about and to explain.
Well, I think you explained it pretty well there. I just don't think the script explains it very well in the book. That's my only thing, is that like the wording there just seems to lean a little bit in the other direction of what you're saying.
Okay.
Or at least in the other direction of the multiple personas, or the DID thing. Yeah. You know, it's like that doesn't feel like what's portrayed. However,
what the heck?
That's okay. This is a different story. This story even feels like, you know, divorced from the rest of the continuity.
Yeah.
And they almost like play that up, like when they at one point the Hulk runs into Iron Man.
Or that was really interesting to me.
Yeah, I guess more specifically, the military sends Iron Man after the Hulk one night.
Yeah,
and this is like early Iron Man. I don't know which Mark armor.
It's the first one. The gold suit is the first one.
Yeah, and he looks great.
Yeah,
and there's this killer. Is it the cover where
Hulk
he's
is like
drawn
yelling, screaming in the reflection?
It's so cool. Hope you'll pull that up here.
Marshall, insert page.
Wow, it looks great.
It does look great.
And that's like it's a great issue, but in the narration, Leonard he says something about like, I've read about all your battles. And
all of these things are declassified. I've read the files.
Yeah, and the Hulk did not meet Iron Man until they formed the Avengers together, essentially. And the Hulk was green.
Yeah.
And it's kind of poo-pooed. It's just like, Leonard, shut up and listen.
Yeah, it's like, listen. Well, it's interesting because Loeb and Sale have played kind of fast and loose with the continuity in these first two books. And people were frustrated by that. They didn't like that. So I feel like this is like there's a couple points in this book where I feel like Loeb is talking directly to the reader.
Yeah.
Where at the beginning of that's one of them. And then the other one is at the beginning of the book, they're trying to figure out what, why he's there and what he wants to talk about, why Bruce is called Leonard in the middle of the night. Leonard suggests talking about Bruce's father, and Bruce remarks that they've done that to death. And I'm like, that is Jeph Loeb.
Yes,
that's funny.
Yeah,
because that is his relationship with his abusive father is a really important part of the character. So that's funny there. But the whole thing with Iron Man, where he's like, they never met, anything like that. They make a big point of talking about that and pointing that out and creating this narrative reason as to why there would have been a cover up that Stark Industries and the Army both would have wanted to cover that up to like make themselves not look bad, which is so smart.
It's so clever.
It's a great way to throw that in there and never have to have them ever talk about it again.
Yeah.
Like it never has to get brought up because we all understand like, okay, that was embarrassing for Tony. And I love also, this is the era where people didn't know that Tony was Iron Man.
Yeah.
So they're like, there's a man in there. Who cares about the man in there? Go find Tony Stark.
Have him pull his man out.
Yeah, have Tony Stark get this guy.
Have Tony Stark pull his little man out.
Yeah, his bodyguard, Iron Man.
Show him to us. Yeah. I loved it.
So good.
I thought it was so much fun. Yeah. And it's a great fight. I love watching them do their thing.
Yeah.
It does that. Sale does that thing that you love, where a flying character's bottom half of their body is just a blur.
Well, I liked that in Superman because that's specifically the thing that
Marshall, you like
does.
it all the time. You're always talking about it.
I don't want to see
this man's legs. He's flying.
When I was reading that, I was kind of mixed on it. I was like, does that make sense for Iron Man? Because like his fire comes out of his boots, you know?
Yeah. It's out of his waist now, I guess. I don't know.
It's out of his butt, dude. He's just shooting the flames out of his booty.
The iron booty, they call him.
He's flying around like this.
That's why he didn't give up his secret identity at this point. He's like,
it'd be really embarrassing.
Yeah, he's like, I can't let everybody know that I'm the one with flames shooting out of my butt.
Until I figure out the squatting problem.
How'd you solve the squatting problem?
It's very good.
Good joke, Marshall.
Oh boy, Tim Sale's really good in this one. This is weirdly kind of a mixture between the style of Daredevil Yellow and Spider-Man Blue.
Yes.
Where like most of the book is drawn in kind of a more Spider-Man Blue style, but Hulk is always in this gray ink wash.
Yeah.
And it makes him feel very other and very separate and like he doesn't quite belong.
Yeah.
And it's such a clever thing. And but he doesn't like it works in a way to separate him out from the other characters, but it never makes him feel out of place.
Yeah.
In a way that would be jarring as a reader.
Totally.
You know, like it itches my brain in a way that it tells a story. It doesn't take me out of the story.
Yeah.
Which is a very delicate balance.
Absolutely.
If he was really bright,
yeah,
that would make a difference probably. If it was the green, that would make a difference.
Yeah. Especially the green at the green they use at the end is harsh.
Yeah.
I don't really like looking at him on those last pages.
Yeah.
Doesn't look great.
But I think that's supposed to be like, it's supposed to be shocking and blast you.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Stuff like that, you know?
Yeah, which it does. But I look at it and I go like, man, if they did a whole like Green Hulk series, I would not want to see Tim Sale do it. I'm sorry, Tim.
I don't think that they would use that bright of a
I hope not.
color for the whole thing.
One thing about Tim Sale though, if he's going to draw a character that's supposed to be canonically like ugly, he's going to mess their teeth up.
Like
he messed the Hulk's teeth up. His teeth look rough.
Good.
Red Hulk in Cap White that we're going to talk about next week.
Red Hulk?
Red Hulk, Red Skull. Sorry. Sorry, that's on me. Red Skull. My apologies.
What?
Janked up teeth.
Well,
and so
that's
on
because
so
he's a skeleton man.
Oh, I should have thought about him as a skeleton man.
It's because he's a skeleton man.
I was thinking he was a skeleton Nazi.
Yeah. No. Well, that too. Yeah, but he's a skeleton man.
Yes. Janked up teeth. Tim Sale loves drawing them. That's my only point. It's like Liefeld's feet.
Opposite. I think it's the other way around.
Oh, really?
He doesn't like to draw those. That's the famous funny thing.
Maybe he's just
because he's bad at feet.
Maybe
he
Sale
refuses
is
to draw them.
Bad at teeth.
So he makes them bad, so he doesn't have to make them good.
Exactly.
We've solved it, Michael.
I think we've gotten there.
Well, Matt Hollingsworth's colors are a welcome return. I didn't dislike the colors in Spider-Man Blue, but I really like the way that Hollingsworth does what he does.
Yeah.
What else? The panel layouts feel kind of like claustrophobic sometimes. Like they do a really good job of emphasizing the size of the Hulk in the panel and the size of the things. And they do a really good job of contrasting that with Bruce as well, who is like very lanky and skinny in this. Where like he doesn't always draw him that way in the comics necessarily. Even if you read the original run, he's not like deeply skinny. He just kind of looks like a regular guy.
Totally.
But in this, he's like super, super skinny.
Yeah.
He's the opposite as far as possible from the Hulk.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely.
What else do I have here?
Feels like they're employing something that you and I have talked about a lot recently as we've worked on our own project about. Like it's fun to tell a story visually of a person who doesn't fit in by making them physically unable to fit in.
Yeah, make them literally not fit in the frame or make them literally different from the way that everything else looks, the way that they're doing ink washes on Hulk and not everybody else, that kind of thing.
Yep, exactly. Yeah,
I like that. Fun.
I like how they do the obsession of Thunderbolt Ross.
Yeah.
Because I think because
of
shades
of gray now he feels.
Correct. I think because of his status, there's like a temptation to see the character as like he must know what he's doing. Military guy, general even, you know.
He makes a point of reinforcing like,
yes,
I got these stars here, son.
Yeah, it's a whole thing that, he's talking to this child.
Yeah, he's high on his own authority.
Yes, he is. Yeah. And at some point, and he goes to such great lengths. And I think his arc comes to a climax when he's telling his men to fire on the Hulk while the Hulk is holding him. and the men are like, the soldiers are like, but sir, you're in harm's way. He goes, I don't care if I'm in harm's way. I told you to fire.
Yeah.
And then Betty says, Dad, you understand you're going to be killed and I might too. And he's like, I don't care. How dare you interfere, daughter? Like his only thing he cares about is taking out the Hulk, even though he knows he can't. It's like he understands the futility, but he would rather be killed trying to get the job done.
Yeah, he's Captain Ahab.
Yeah. And that's when it becomes really clear. And Leonard says as much in the narration that like, oh, he's just psychotic.
Yeah.
Like he's an actual psychopath. So it's like, so which kind of in some ways vindicates Bruce's hatred of him, you know? But I think even more so kind of gives him the closure of understanding like, no, like Ross wasn't telling the truth about you being a monster and yada, yada. Like, it's like, he's not a trustworthy voice to listen to, which is an important part of how the narrative kind of cycles through. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Because I mean, throughout the whole thing, Bruce is like so. The whole book kind of plays like we didn't read a previous issue to me.
Yeah.
Like I feel like I need the context of why did Bruce call. Like it feels like something specific triggered Bruce to call Leonard, and we don't know what it is.
Yeah.
Because he is really upset at the Hulk, and he's constantly biting back at Leonard anytime he pushes in any particular direction or is implying that maybe he should be sympathetic. But I don't know. Now I'm saying it out loud. I feel like that maybe like we don't necessarily, it would be nice to maybe have a little bit of context of why is he in this really intense position right now.
Yeah.
But regardless of that, it's really showing that he has this really intense black and white thinking and that there are no shades of gray in his mind. And Leonard is trying to introduce that to him. Yeah. And even when he says anything to say like, well, you know, when the Hulk accidentally smacks Betty, Leonard tries to explain that away and say, well, like he didn't know, it was an accident. He doesn't know his own strength. He accidentally killed the bunny and stuff. He literally was just born. He doesn't know how strong he is, anything like that. And Bruce is adamant of like, no, do not apologize for the Hulk. Like you do not, like
he really gets after him for this.
Like he's really mad.
Yes.
And he says, you know, Hulk has done more. I can't remember what he says. If he says that Hulk has hurt more people than Thunderbolt Ross ever has, or something like that. The other way, or maybe the way around. I don't know.
Something like that. Yeah.
But he's got so much frustration and anger that he just doesn't know how to deal with. He really does not come to terms at the end of this with any of these events. And I don't know in the comics how or why Betty died, but we seem to understand in this that Betty is gone.
Yes. Yeah. I don't know if he says dead ever. Says gone.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think that I think that she's not alive.
I think that's correct too. Yeah.
But I don't remember that being a specific plot point.
Yeah.
That I'm aware of.
But there's an understanding that she's one way or another, like
no
longer accessible for Bruce in any way. Yeah. Yeah.
He's got anger issues. He's got problems.
Yes.
And that comes out of his traumatic past. And the Hulk, again, is like a literal manifestation of that. And he does not solve it.
Yeah.
In this. Yeah. Like he cannot comprehend a world that is black, that is shades of gray, seemingly. Like that modern day segment is his perspective. Yeah. Is the way I'm seeing that.
Totally. Yeah.
Is that Leonard is trying really hard to bring him down and say, maybe it was this, but he refuses.
Yeah.
And it's just that like the world has beat him up and hurt him and attacked him so much. Even if you look at the Hulk, this literal shades of gray character who was just born yesterday, doesn't know what's going on, doesn't know who he is. Yeah. Immediately the world hates him. They're all attacking him. So he doesn't know anything but that.
Yeah. Even Betty, who's the only person he knows.
Yeah.
Hates him. Doesn't want to see him. Calls him a monster.
And he can't explain. He doesn't have the Hulk, doesn't have the words to explain.
Yeah.
Just like Bruce doesn't have the words to explain or to understand.
Totally.
Like that. I mean, that's the thing. Like he can talk all day about like, this is what I was thinking, and this is what I was feeling, and this is what I was going through, and this is what happened. But he doesn't know how to actually process those things and actually like understand those things and feel those things. And that's what the Hulk is the Hulk is that part of him that literally just doesn't know what to do about it.
Totally.
And he's trying, but is like, everything I'm trying doesn't help and doesn't work. and just makes people hate me more.
Yeah.
And what is the answer?
That's why this frame narrative is so interesting, because Leonard's in some ways not just trying to heal Bruce, but trying to heal the Hulk.
Yeah.
Like being those parts of him.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. Funny part that I remember. After there's one, this is not the funny part.
Okay.
At one point the Hulk is in the desert or in like up on a mountaintop or something. He meets a bunny. No, we haven't gotten there yet.
Oh.
I'll let you know.
Okay.
Up on a mountaintop or something, meets a bunny, decides no, we're not there. Decides the bunny's going to be his friend, kills the bunny by accident. No, that's the decidedly not funny part.
Crap.
And then the narration in that moment, Bruce says like, this was the first time that the Hulk, what does he say? He says something about like the Hulk knew that this was the first time he had killed anything. And I read that and I went, hang on, went back a few pages. To when the army was first like engaging him.
Yeah.
Hulk grabs one soldier and just launches him into the sky.
Yeah, but you didn't see the trampoline that he landed on.
I forgot. You're right.
The army was doing trampoline training that day.
It set up the trampoline.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was actually on a bungee wire.
Bouncy house training that day.
Yeah. It's like those weird like gym classes for middle-aged women who just like to jump around.
Oh, jazzercise.
Yeah.
It was jazzercise day for the army.
Yeah. It's good.
So right. I should have known.
Yeah. So he's fine.
Totally killed that guy. There it is, Marshall. You got there.
It was so funny. That was so funny, Michael.
I liked that. I liked
Everybody loves it.
Everyone likes a little bit of dissonance in the narrative.
Cognitively.
Truly.
Yeah.
Love it. What else you got? What else you want to talk about? What else you like? What else you dislike? He's not in this. In fact, there are not many characters in this by comparison to the other color books. You really just get
are like anthology. And
you get Bruce, Hulk, Ross, Betty, Rick,
Monica. Yeah, Joey,
Lewinsky. Oh, Leonard.
Yeah,
6 characters. That's crazy.
6 characters.
That's a tiny baby amount, but that feels like 2000 Ang Lee Hulk. 2000. What did I just say? But that feels like 2003 Ang Lee Hulk as well.
Feels like 2000 Ang Lee Hulk. You know what that feels like? 2000 Ang Lee Hulk.
Is that 2003? I think that's right.
I don't know.
Do you remember this movie with Nick Nolte?
Yeah, he's Bruce's abusive dad or something.
Bruce's dad, but he's also the absorbing man somehow.
Oh yeah.
It's a weird movie, but it feels like this in that it's like a small cast of characters out in the desert, just like having a weirdly contained story.
Yeah.
It's fun. I like it.
I think that's what I have to say about this comic book. And I think I'm empty.
You're emptied out. You're tapped.
Yeah, I've emptied myself out for you viewers.
Spicy.
Thank you all for being here.
What else?
If this is that?
Yeah, I was going to ask you that.
Well, there's a few things that I would read. A book that does a really, really good job of digging into all of the psychology of Hulk is The Immortal Hulk. It's really, really, really good. Written by Al Ewing and drawn by guy who's Joe Bennett, who, you know, like we've mentioned previously, maybe not a great guy, had put like Nazi symbolism hidden sort of in the background of some of the work and stuff like that. Just not good. The artwork is very, very good, but that part of it, very, very bad. That has since been reprinted. So if you go and buy like the omnibus or something now, I don't think it would be in there. But the book is really good, and it does a really good job of digging into the psychology of Hulk. It's really like a cosmic horror. Yeah. So it does a lot of the things that I really dig on specifically, and it does them really well.
Yeah.
The other Hulk stuff that I would say, I mean, like, you know, there's Planet Hulk and World War Hulk, and those are very popular, but they don't really live in this world necessarily. Yeah. The other Hulk thing that I would maybe say is check out Peter David's run. It's one of the longest running Hulk runs.
Sweet.
It's kind of like the Walt Simonson Thor of Hulk. This is like the definitive kind of old Hulk, basically. It's like the classic. So that's pretty good. That's what I say about that, Michael. When Captain America throws his mighty shield, all of those who oppose his mighty shield must yield. Hey guys, it's welcome to the comic book show. Today it's the Tales from the Long Box. We're talking about Captain America White. It's the last of the Marvel comic book color books. Written by Jeph Loeb and drawn by Tim Sale. Hold on. Please hold.
Okay.
Please hold.
I'm holding.
Please hold.
Holding.
Uh-oh, I don't have the letterer or the colorist. It's a League of Comic Geeks. This was colored by Dave Stewart, who I think did Spider-Man Blue, and lettered by Richard Starkings, classic, as well as John Rochelle. This is like I said, the last of the 4 Marvel colored books, the first one being Daredevil Yellow, the second Spider-Man Blue, the third Hulk Gray, and now this one.
Yes, thank you for sticking with us.
The trilogy. Quadrilogy. These books are
Say the last part again.
Quadrilogy. Rounding out the quadrilogy.
There you go.
These books are a nostalgic and somewhat tragic look back at the past from a present time point of view for whatever character it's about, looking at generally some kind of early days storyline. So in Spider-Man Blue, that was him writing or speaking on a cassette recorder to Gwen, who has passed on, about when they first met and how they got together. Daredevil Yellow, it's Matt reading or writing a letter to Karen about how they met. In Hulk Gray, it is, what's their names? In Hulk Gray, it's Bruce and Leonard talking to each other about just whatever the heck is on Bruce's mind, basically, and going through when he first became the Hulk and got blasted by the gamma bomb, and Rick Jones was kind of his little buddy and stuff like that.
And lingers on Betty a lot.
Say again?
Lingers on Betty a lot.
Yes, and also, the loss of not the loss of Eddie, but like the just people not understanding him and stuff like that, and the pain of that. And then this one is Captain America and Bucky. So we've left the romantic angle of this behind, and now gone back to this. Clear. Yeah. Now we're going to this more like, I don't know, just kind of like survivor's guilt type thing a little bit is what I'm reading a lot into this. So Michael, read us a little bit of what's the book about? What's the book about?
I'll get that for you. I'll pull that up for you, Joe Pesci. Captain America White is about this. For Steve Rogers, the hardest thing about being a man at a time is being a man without a best friend. As Captain America comes to terms with his loss, he longs for the black and white moral simplicity of World War II. Bucky Barnes charging fearlessly into battle at his side. The Howling Commandos right behind. Odds against them, lives on the line, taking the fight to the greatest evil of all. The Eisner Award-winning team of Jeph Loeb and Tim Sale of Daredevil Yellow, Spider-Man Blue, and Hulk Gray revisit the glory days of Captain America and Bucky in a classic tale of friendship forged in war in Captain America White issues 0 through 5. There was an issue 0 in this, which I don't think the others had.
Yeah, that was interesting because this one had a weird long production thing. When did this come out? This was 2008.
Yes, which is 5 years after Hulk Gray. So they had a good.
It took a long time to make this one, and that was largely because Tim Sale wanted to make it extremely historically accurate. So you see all the tanks and the uniforms and the guns and stuff like that, and he wanted it to all be very true to life. The style that Sale uses in this is something. It's obviously very similar to what he usually does, but it also is a very like classic World War II kind of feeling thing in the way that he looked at a lot of like old propaganda posters and stuff like that. So the proportions of some of these characters or the tanks and stuff like that is very heavily based on those kinds of things.
Yeah.
But it's really, really well done. You can see the time in that, the amount of time that he's waited. And you can also tell that it's kind of a later work from him.
Yes.
Because his style evolved and was a bit less refined, I feel like, later on.
Yeah.
It's still really good in this, but it doesn't quite reach the peaks of Hulk Gray, which I think to me is maybe the best looking of the 4 of these.
Really?
I think that's his best work as a penciler and inker.
Is Hulk Gray.
Yeah.
Interesting. As a to a less artistically analytical eyeball or two, like mine.
Yeah.
That was my least favorite of these four, was Hulk Gray.
Really?
Really? Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, this was up there. I mean, this might have actually been my favorite. I don't know what about it necessarily. I think you mentioned less refined. I think that leads to it being more. We've talked about it before. It's like less realistic, more like symbolic, or less or more. What do we call that? Not symbolic.
Less icon, more cartoon.
Thank you. Yes. Yeah.
I always think symbol is kind of like the spectrum.
Yeah. It's like the proportions on these people aren't quite like normal human proportions.
Yeah.
But I think that leads to it really well, especially since it's kind of a period piece. It's kind of, like Captain America himself is kind of a comic book character inside a world of comic book characters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is really cool. And I think this feels that way for sure.
Yeah, I would agree. And I mean, looking at some of the pages again now, because this is the first one I read, so it's been a while.
Sure.
I do see what you're saying, because especially in like the parts that are in the past, I don't know if it's ink wash necessarily, but it looks like watercolor. Mm-hmm. And I know that in Daredevil Yellow, it was all ink wash that then was colored over the top of later to make it look like watercolor.
Yeah.
But this is like much more heavily rendered out than a lot of that stuff is. And it looks really cool.
Yeah.
But to me, it more specifically, all of these books very much specifically fit the vibe of their specific story.
Yes.
And this one, I think, really fits that kind of World War II feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, it does feel like that quite a bit. Stars and stripes everywhere, like a lot of just like backgrounds that are flags or pennants or things like that. Really give that vibe, really give that propaganda sort of vibe, or like it feels like a World War II propaganda film in a lot of cases.
Yeah. And they used the stars and stripes to really like the way that Hellboy really sticks out in his book compared to the muted colors of everything else.
Yep.
Like you look at a lot of this, and unless you're in like a scene like this that's very like golden, the characters, the super characters really stick out like a sore thumb.
Totally. Yeah.
That's gorgeous.
It's so good. So much of this is like this. Yeah. This is just everything I want to see in Captain America. Like a lot of I think this is why people love Steve Rogers in comparison to the people that take up the Captain America title later on, is because you get these two timelines that you can put him in, and he's just like Steve Rogers is the American soldier. He is that, and then superhero second in a lot of cases, and that's brought out so well in this. It's really, really good.
I think that only really works in the World War II era, though. And that's why Loeb placed it in World War II, because he didn't want to have to deal with any kind of like political intrigue, essentially, of like when you do a modern Captain America story, you kind of have to acknowledge that America is not what it was in World War II.
Right.
That there was this fall from grace and this loss of innocence kind of the nation as a whole that Captain America doesn't line up with. And that if you try to just say, well, this is the guy and this is what it is, like it's not that.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been that for a long time. And that's why he wanted to do it in World War II, because that was a much more, like the description said, the black and white morality of that time. Like there is a clear enemy. Right. And while we obviously also did terrible things in World War II, like the bombing of Kyoto, the firebombing of Japan, and the atom bombing of Japan and stuff like that, horrific, terrible things. There was a obvious great threat that we're all against this 100%. And that's a lot easier to tell a story about a guy who is a soldier and who is following the thing and everything like that. Where in modern day stories, you look at something like Daredevil Born Again, where there's that famous scene of the general in that who is corrupt. And he's like, oh, we're glad we have you on our side, Captain. And he grabs the flag. He's like, I'm only loyal to the dream, General. Yeah. Like, that's it. And you don't have to go into that if it's a story about World War II.
Right.
So you get to just kind of read this without having to put on any kind of blinders or anything. You can just take it at face value.
Yeah.
Which works very well. And it works well for this narrative as well, because that's kind of part of it.
Yeah.
Where he's come out of the ice and everything, and he sees that Fury is still alive. That's always a weird sliding timescale thing, especially now at this point.
That
How's
threw
that
me off
supposed to
for a
work?
second. It took me a minute to be like, oh, this is okay. That's that. This is able to be the same guy because who knows when Cap wakes up. They don't ever really specify. But.
Right. Where at some point here, they're going to have to figure out how to justify Magneto not being a Jew in the Holocaust, because he's going to be too old. Like, make him immortal, I guess, or something.
I was going to say, just at that point,
there's no
freeze
other.
him in the
it
ice.
doesn't make sense.
Or freeze him in metal. I don't know. Put him in carbonite.
Make him a metal man.
I heard Metal Man was there.
But Loeb and Sale managed to make it a story that part of the focal point of this is that Steve really misses what was a much simpler time.
Yeah.
Which you can kind of in that see some of Loeb's personal politics coming out of, like, the great disdain for the more complicated nature of today, and possibly the need to take more care in the narrative than he would have to previously about the way that he's depicting certain peoples or certain groups or certain events and stuff like that. That, Loeb has been a mildly controversial figure because of things that he allegedly, we don't know this is absolutely true, but things that he allegedly said on the set of Daredevil season 2, I think, about, people not caring about Asian people on screen, and that, don't write Nobu in these characters. The actor who played Nobu apparently heard him saying, like, don't write for these characters, just get rid of them because nobody cares about them. They're not interesting and stuff like that. So there's, like, controversial things in there where you can see maybe a slight intersection of where his personal politics come into this.
I didn't even know they consulted with Jeph Loeb for the TV show. That's interesting.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, he was one of the head guys at Marvel TV. It wasn't just Daredevil. He was, like, one of the writers, because he came out of screenwriting specifically before he was doing comics.
Yeah.
So that was kind of, they were like, well, who should we go to? That makes sense.
Interesting. Yeah.
So that's kind of where the main controversy for him comes out of. But all that to say, you do, because it takes place in World War II, you're able to just kind of say, this is the story. We're fighting the Nazis. Let's keep moving.
But that's kind of what I'm saying about him, like, living in both timelines, is that, yes, he can, you get that 100%. And then you get him later on kind of pining for those times, which makes him an idealist in the new world because he's going, like, and I hear you, like, regardless of politics, there's this perceived golden ageism associated with
let's get back to when things were good.
Yes, exactly. And he's, again, for better or worse, he's willing to be the only idealist in the room in any circumstance that he's in. Yeah. Funny enough, I think they say it the best in the movies when Nick Fury says something to him about, we take the world as it is, not how we think it ought to be, something like that. And I'm probably butchering that quote, but Captain America is willing to take the world as he understands that it should be, right?
Yeah.
And so that's what you get later on. But you're right that in this story, it gets to just be what he thinks it should be, and that lets him fit in really well too. He is the most capable and the most the most savvy, I guess, guy in the world, or in the world, in the room at least, or the most world-wise at the very least. And so kind of cool.
He's not the most world-wise. That's kind of the fun thing about this, is that he is like, he still is, like, basically coming from being a kid who was 4F and couldn't actually get into the army and everything like that. And then suddenly he's the frontline man and everything. There's a great point made in this that Bucky probably has more experience with women than Steve does.
That is true.
Which is kind of a plot point, not really a plot point. There's a running thread where there's this beautiful French resistance woman who maybe is got a thing going back and forth with Steve, and eventually it turns out that is the case. But it's like, he's completely oblivious because he has no idea. He was a little shrimpy guy that women never paid attention to like a month ago.
I kind of liked the moment too. There's a moment when Bucky points that out, and Steve gets, like, hurt by it.
Kind of annoyed, kind of frustrated.
Yeah, he storms off. And I was like, I like that. Let people be upset when they get snubbed. You know what I mean? It's good. Right? You don't see that oftentimes in comic books. I feel like everybody is
try to make people perfect.
Yes, everybody's quippy. Everybody has a comeback.
Yeah, Superman is good because that's just who he is.
Yeah, it's great.
Captain America is just a good guy.
Yeah,
like no, Spider-Man gets frustrated. Spider-Man gets angry. Superman gets angry.
Yeah, good guy with feelings.
Captain America. It was really in World War II. Yeah. If you were deemed not fit to fight, that was shameful. Like
you were lesser,
you wanted to go.
Yeah.
You were like, I'm gonna go and fight. And all war is bad, and these guys came back horrifically scarred regardless. But still, like there was a level of there is an evil here, and I'm gonna go fight it. And he wasn't able to do that. So Bucky pointing that out is like the idea that he wasn't naturally able. Is a painful thing to try to reckon with.
Yes, yeah, and they do it to each other too. There's a moment later on when Steve has to when Steve kind of like talks down to Bucky. Yeah, even like physically, like what was the deal? Oh, Bucky's spying on Steve and the French woman, like behind closed doors together, and gets caught, and Cap throws the door open and throws Bucky out of the way essentially and gives him a big old black eye. And Bucky goes away to sulk, and Cap kind of goes after him and gives him the like, stop being such a pansy talk. Yeah. And it's not great. It's like, it is.
Yeah. It's like, this isn't a game.
Yes. Yeah. He could have handled it a lot better. But he says at one point, like, I'm just, underneath the uniform, I'm still just a man who makes mistakes and that sort of thing. Yeah. I like that. Lots of really, really good character moments for Cap. Good to see Bucky as a child, like as a teenager again, rather.
Yeah. Instead they have to kind of reconcile, like, how old is he? Like, is he a little guy? Yeah. Because they say something in here that he's like maybe 7 years younger than him.
7 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
But he's like there's commentary about Cap as a father figure nonetheless, even though he's not that much older.
Yeah, there's something between a brother and a father. Yes. It's like a little bit of both.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I did think it was funny. Something else I had to recalibrate too was Captain America having a secret identity.
Yeah, right.
They don't know who he is under there.
There's just this guy, Steve Rogers, and his friend James Barnes.
Yeah.
Who are stationed here, and he's annoying and useless. And what's the point of having this dude?
Totally. Which kind of makes Fury. It makes him feel like Spidey and makes Fury feel like Jameson.
Jonah, yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
He's like, this guy sucks.
Worthless Steve Rogers if he was here or whatever, or Rogers is there and he's like, I think that Captain America's a nice guy.
Yeah.
It's goofy.
I don't know. It's like, oh gosh, what is it? In Superman in 1978 has had his big night out on the town and saving people and everything, that long montage, getting the cat out of the tree and all that stuff. Yep. The next day, the Daily Planet, Perry is going crazy. And he's like, I need to know everything about this guy. Where does he go to dinner? What's his favorite food? What's his favorite color?
Where does he come from? Does he have a girlfriend?
Whose shirt's he wearing?
Well, he points at Clark and says something like,
what's his favorite ball team, Kent? Now listen to me.
And Clark starts to go, like, he starts to respond. Like, no, don't say it. Don't say it.
You love those movies.
It's I love that one and the second one.
Yeah.
Something else I like about this Captain America book is the way that they
we're talking about Captain
bring
America.
some of the the way they bring some of the Captain America lore into it. Like Namor is in this for one frame.
Yes, why? That was so weird.
Because in the original comics, Namor and the original Human Torch were like the three amigos.
Yes.
They all worked together. So there's this one bit where it's like, we've got friends everywhere. You know, it's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
You don't get to see Jim Hammond, unfortunately. Do you? Is he in this?
I don't think you see him in this, no.
I would like to.
But it's just this goofy thing where they've spent... I didn't like it, to be honest with you, because they spent the whole issue with Bucky feeling guilty about having to... He saves Captain America's life. Cap is sinking, in the ocean. Yeah. And the shield is too heavy. Had to snip it off and leave it down there and haul Cap back up to the surface.
Yeah.
Cap was like, you made the right call. Don't worry about it. You did a great job. Bucky's still feeling guilty. The guilt was the interesting thing. Yeah. And then S.H.I.E.L.D. is just magically back, but Namor
that's
is
like
the magic.
End of the issue, though. Like, you get to go through that whole story and everything. And then at the end, you find a way to have the shield restored to the characters, because obviously he can't just have it lost forever.
But like right at the moment that they need it to, like Fury had just said a few panels prior, oh, we could use that shield of yours to climb this wall.
Yeah.
I thought, timing was lame. The way it was handled, okay. I didn't love it.
If you say so.
I would tell Jeph that.
What would you do?
I'd just tell him.
Okay. You just let him know?
I'd say, Jeph, this was subpar. Maybe change it.
Hey, change this
Maybe
one.
just don't let him have his shield back.
How about having the Human Torch, the original one, Jim Hammond. Have the original Human Torch, Jim Hammond, burn out the whole ocean.
That's a great idea.
So you can just walk to the bottom and pick it up.
Maybe have the original Human Torch, Jim Hammond show up and say...
Who? Wait, which one?
Jim Hammond.
Not Johnny Storm.
Not Johnny Storm. Jim Hammond shows up.
The original Human Torch.
And says, we spared no expense getting you this new shield, Captain America. Spared no expense. Here's my cane.
That's my favorite part of Captain America.
Mine too, baby.
Park. Captain Park, America.
Yes. What else we got for this one? Once again, Red Skull. Teeth, bad.
Yep.
Ugly man.
Red Skull is here.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Hydra is not really a para-Nazi organization in this, and I don't think they really were in the original books either, honestly. I think they were kind of just intertwined.
Yeah.
I think them being a subcontractor in the modern stuff is kind of probably a byproduct of we don't want to do a movie all about Nazis and stuff thing. So they can just say, well, these are these guys, and then we don't have to have the main villain continuously come back and be Nazis and have to struggle with that and deal with that and figure out how you work with that and everything like that.
You're right. They change it up. And I think that's fine. I think that's fine because they can kind of broaden Hydra's motivations. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like they can be evil for whatever reason at that point. It doesn't have to be just linked to the Nazi goals.
Sure.
So I think it works.
Yeah. There are other good nods to different parts of Captain America history in this.
Yes. Yeah.
Like you get the father of Batroc the Leaper.
Yes. Grandfather, I think.
Grandfather, okay.
Yeah.
He's one of the French resistance they're working, this cell of the French resistance that they're working with to go and fight the Nazis, stop the Nazis, take back France, whatever. And he ends up going turncoat, right?
Yes, he betrays the resistance to the Red Skull, or to Baron von Strucker, one of them.
Right, because they had some really good lead that there was something, I can't remember exactly what it was. We're doing really good so far.
We're killing it.
There was they had a good lead on a job that they could go and get a lot done all at once, basically.
The Nazis were going to hit the Louvre.
That's what it was. Yeah. Okay.
I got you.
Back to one.
Yeah.
So the Howling Commandos and Captain America and everybody, they all meet up with a French resistance cell.
Yes.
And they, at one point, get a lead that the Nazis are going to go and raid the Louvre. Hitler famously was always getting all the treasures and stuff out of the different countries. And there's the real story of the Monuments Men who went in the OK movie, who went and recovered all of these artifacts and stuff like that, or protected them ahead of time, that kind of thing. Really interesting small part of the war.
Yeah. And Nick Fury's like, oh, who cares if, it's just a museum, it's just whatever.
Yeah.
And Cap says, no, he's going after French culture, trying to minimize and wipe that out.
Yeah.
Which is a cool moment when Cap is like, this is something we should care about.
Yeah, well, because he doesn't quite care initially either, but then the French lady kind of explains and makes him know, listen, he's not just taking art, he's trying to erase us as a people.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
And Cap can get on board with that.
Totally.
So he doesn't just get on board with that. He's kind of over eager, and so is Bucky. Because they have their little moment. They have their fight that you mentioned earlier.
Yep.
And then Bucky ends up running off and deciding he's going to go and fight this Red Skull because they know where he's going to be too, but the Louvre is the priority. Yeah. So they go off and they get betrayed at the Louvre by Batroc's grandfather, whichever it is. And then
different Batroc.
Yeah. They end up getting out of there. It's a big disaster.
Yep.
And Steve has to just go. And he goes and he mates up with Bucky, basically meets up at the Eiffel Tower.
Yes.
And has a big old final confrontation with the Skull.
Yeah. The Skull like kidnaps Bucky on his rocket or something like that. It's one of those things.
Hold on. Let me get to the pages here because I don't remember a rocket, Michael.
It was a rocket or I don't know. Red
Zeppelin?
Skull Zeppelin, maybe?
Yeah, it's a Zeppelin. World War II.
That's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, so he takes, say it.
He takes Bucky captive. Cap goes and fights him, and they team up and they're bros again, and it's nice and it's cute.
It is nice and cute.
Yeah. And they thwart the attempt to blow up the Eiffel Tower is so cartoon. I kind of love it. It feels very like Abbott and Costello.
This book is really cool. It's got a lot of like just the visual vibe of it is really interesting. Sale gets this really cool look to it that feels kind of like the Band of Brothers. It feels very cinematic in a way that some of the other ones don't.
Yeah.
Like it feels like an old World War II movie or like the Band of Brothers, like I said. It's just great.
Yes.
It's just really fun to watch and really fun to read. It's really well written.
Yeah.
Everybody feels like they're from that era. The 8 years or whatever that it took to make it were totally worth it because all of like the Jeeps and the guns and the costumes and everything feel super true to life.
Yeah.
It's just really well done. It's really impressive.
Yeah. Overall, all 4 of these stories felt exactly the way that I think that they should for their characters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they hit the tones just right. They hit the like art style for the timelines of the settings just right. I mean, it was just, again, it's it's not an original thought to say that these 2 guys are just a powerhouse of comic story writing. And always were. Any Loeb and Sale joint that I can read, I'll read it.
Yeah.
And you should too.
You check it out, losers.
That's my
ghouls.
That's my if this then that ghouls. Make sure you read all 4 of these stories that we've talked about. Go back and listen to our episodes if you haven't heard them yet, because we've had a grand old time over these last 5 weeks doing this. So thank you if you stuck with them, or if you've stuck with us rather as we've talked through them all. Thank you. Hope you've enjoyed them.
I don't know if I have an if this then that. If you like Captain America, you should check out Ed Brubaker's run. It's where the Winter Soldier was introduced. So we get a lot of the childhood innocence of Bucky and Cap feeling a lot of guilt around should he have brought this child into the war and stuff like that. And then that is a good kind of follow up to that to see like, maybe the answer is no. Like maybe he shouldn't have done that.
Yeah.
Because now he's a Russian super spy.
Yes.
Against his own will.
That's awesome.
It is very awesome. The art by Steve Epting. Yeah. Steve Epting's art is really gorgeous. It really fits that kind of stuff really well. Brubaker is a master at espionage and crime, stuff like that. Brubaker is a crime mastermind. That's, I think, what I just said.
Brubaker's a criminal.
Yeah. Then also, the current run on Captain America is really good.
I haven't read any of it. Who's on it right now?
I handed it to you.
Is it in that stack?
Yes.
Let's go. I'm going to read it when I get
Everything that exists. It's Chip Zdarsky.
That's right.
And I can't remember the name of the artist, but the art is really good. And it is also kind of an interesting follow-up to this because it is Cap having just woken up out of the ice.
Yeah.
And then saying, what do I do? I guess I go back to base because that's all I've ever known.
Yeah.
So this is then, there's been another Captain America in like Afghanistan and he's working together with him. And it's kind of a John Walker thing, but it's different.
Yeah.
It's really good. And it does kind of what we talked about earlier really well of grappling with what has America become and how does he reconcile that compared to what he literally was living in his mind yesterday.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is a crazy, fascinating, weird thing to get into, but Zdarsky does a really good job of diving into that. That's my if this then that. If you like if you like books of poetry, check out this one. It's called Marauders. Michael wrote it.
It's by me.
It's by Michael.
And if you like artwork of many kinds, including superhero artwork, look at these ones. These were drawn by Marshall.
My challenge for myself this last year was doing a couple conventions, going to at least 2 comic conventions. We did 3, and my challenge to myself this year is I'm going to do a solo video every single month. So there's going to be at least 12 Marshall videos this year, 2026. It's almost this year when you're watching this.
Just about. We're getting there.
I think like literally a day before.
Yes.
Maybe.
Hey-o.
Happy New Year.
Happy
Wait a
New
second.
Year.
Happy New Year. Hey,
Happy
whoa.
New Year, everybody.
That's exciting.
I didn't even realize that.
We're stupid.
I mean, I realized it because it's right now. We're recording this in real time.
I'm going to go drink champagne. Thanks everybody for being here. This is the show we do. Check it out next time. That's all I have to say.
Keep reading comics. Love you.
Good luck.